Okay, we'll call the Inland Wetlands Commission meeting to order, 7 o'clock, and I'll ask Bruce to take the roll, please.
Ned Stachin,
Here.
Robert Eisner,
Here.
Dave Fox,
Here.
Richard Berlandi,
Here.
Dan Popovic, Andre Simons. No, he's not called in. Make sure. Nope. Mark Simpson.
Here.
Elena Carveth.
Here.
And Francis Roth.
Present.
All right, so we have 2 members absent and we have 2 alternates.
Do we know Andre is not coming?
I never heard from him either way. So
All right. So we'll I'll fill Alana for Andre's seat and Frank for Dan's seat.
and Frank, you said for
For Dan, you said Dan isn't going to be here.
Dan,
Dan
I
Popovic.
wasn't sure. Yep.
Okay. Should I ask this for, can we hear these first 2 items together or do we need to keep them separate?
You keep them separate. They'll just
Okay.
finish one. We could vote on it and then just move to the second one.
All right, that's right. Yeah, because they already had the application. All right. First item is Courtney Row, 109 Waterside Lane, lot 9002. Hello. Your name and address for the record and explain your application, please.
Sure. My name is Matt Muscardi. I'm Courtney Rowe's husband. The address is 109 Waterside Lane, West Hartford, but the lot is 9002 in Farmington because half Farmington, half not. This first one is about a removable dock. The application was accepted a month ago. Nothing has changed in the application. It's aluminum and untreated cedar, and it requires about 4 screws to screw into the wall next to the bulkhead there on the lake, and then remove it, put it out in spring, remove it in the fall. No, nothing else has changed. I'm happy to go over it again as a refresher if anybody wants to, but otherwise it hasn't changed from last time.
Okay. You might as well just quickly, in case those that weren't here last meeting.
Yeah, sure. So it's going to be about 24 feet long, 5 feet wide, with a small platform at the end. The retaining wall, as you can see in the photo there, it existed before we moved in. So it's there. We're going to literally screw into the retaining wall 4 screws. It's 2 aluminum pieces along the retaining wall, and then the segments drop right into the water. They settle on the bottom. There's no footings required. There's no concrete. There's no anchoring other than letting it sit on the silt on the bottom. Each segment is, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I believe it's like 6 by 6 or 8 by 8 or something like that. And you drop each in, and then in the fall you can literally lift them up and pull them out. That's pretty much the extent of it. It is like in that photo, it'll be literally right there. I took a photo of where the design is to screw it in. It requires no removal of trees, brush, no construction of any kind, really, just the screws.
Okay. I don't have any questions on this. I'll ask the board. Mark?
No questions.
Robert?
No questions.
Dave?
No questions.
Frank?
No questions.
Alana?
No questions.
Rich Berlandi?
No questions.
Okay. Chair, since we did accept the application at the last meeting, determined no site walk was required and that this was a non-significant event. So Chair will entertain a motion to approve the application.
So moved.
Dave will second.
A motion has been moved and seconded to approve the application. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. All right, second one, 109
Same place.
Waterside Lane.
So the second piece is off the water. We have a patio up against the house. And the existing patio is roughly just under 600 square feet. There's a French drain under it already. All of that existed. We actually extended the drain when we did work 7 years ago now, a long time ago. But we want to remove the existing patio and replace it with new pavers and extend it slightly, an extra 500 square feet of patio. The goal here per the picture is we don't want to remove any trees. In fact, West Hartford just did a report about tree cover in West Hartford, and it's a big problem that people are removing trees. So we're actually working around the trees, and we wanted to put an outdoor fireplace there on the left. In order to deal with drainage at the top, down to the water, you can't see in this picture, is about 60 or 70 feet down to the water, and we're up on a hill. So the grade of the hill actually goes towards the house, not towards the water. Yeah, you can see it in those pictures. That grade actually comes towards the house. We actually have more problems with water coming at our house and going away from our house. But for drainage of the new section, we are proposing a rain garden that effectively wraps around the back of it. We got guidance for the rain garden from Yukon about the depth of it. They suggested 5 inches. We were actually targeting 12. And the University of New Hampshire has a list of rain garden plants that are best for absorption of the rain. The garden would wrap such that it basically connects with where the water from the other drainage is already going. So really, our desire here is to extend that patio out between those two big trees in the picture and put a fireplace between them. We talked to the association around the lake, and they approved. We had to present to them as well, and they approved it. I think that letter is attached in your materials. But that's the extent of the work that we're looking to get first accepted as an application and then approved.
And do you plan to use erosion control around the construction area?
So we plan on putting while we're building hay bales to avoid any silt and erosion. Now, because the grade is toward our house, we're actually we're situated pretty well from an erosion standpoint. We're less likely to get it going into the wetlands. It's more likely to actually come towards the house than to the wetlands. But just to be safe, we'd plan to put hay bales around.
So if the water's running to your house, where is the rain garden? Is rain garden going?
The rain garden will be on that second tree on the left there. It will be just behind it and coming down towards the house to meet where there's a French drain underneath the patio that we currently have that's already there, and where it leaves on the left side. So you can see in that image at the very top is the French drain there, and that's the house that's right up against the house. So the rain garden is the triangle, and to the back of that, it wraps around behind where we intend to put the fireplace, such that it can drain to the same place where the water's already going with the French drain.
And the pond is over here.
The pond is actually it actually is the total other side. That's the property line.
Oh, the side. Okay.
Yeah. So the pond is off where the tree is. If you go down, the pond is below everything. It keeps going up. There's a little bit of a graded hill, and then it swoops down into the lake there. So the pond isn't even pictured. The best way to see it is the other image, which shows
I got this.
the property from
Yeah, I got, yeah.
the lot and the number there. There's another image, the aerial image. Yeah.
How about this one here? Is this any better? Does this help?
Yeah, that helps.
So the
I can
patio-
point to it right here.
Good, yeah.
So it would go, these are the trees. It would be here, the lake's over here. The rain garden would be roughly here and back here. This is great going towards the house before it swoops over there. So it would meet with the existing drainage that's already there, is the goal.
Okay. Bruce, how do we get that screen on our tablets?
It should be on there. Oh, Thank you.
Joint conference?
Now I'm just looking over. I thought that was the mod that working. It's just a design.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the web. That's not working. Give me a second. I'll
Failed to connect.
get it.
All right.
Just give it, just put it back on where it was and just let it sit there for a minute.
All right.
It may just have to load up. Maybe I'm just trying to be too
Okay.
quick with it.
All right. Well, we can continue while you work on it. Okay, I think, and you've submitted that. Yeah. So that plan is what you submitted. And okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All we're doing tonight is accept the application, but let's see if we have any questions. So we go, Mark.
So you have the curtain drain. I assume that stays there because it's right by the house, so the water doesn't come in your house.
Yeah, we'll leave.
You're gonna extend it, I assume, because your patio is getting bigger.
The patio next to the house won't actually get any bigger,
Okay.
so it can stay exactly as is. And the area that it drains to, basically to the side of the house, none of that's changing. We're just replacing the pavers. So, but the goal is not to touch anything that doesn't have to be touched. So the drainage works, and we were going to leave it as is.
Okay, I didn't know if you're moving out further or not. Okay, doesn't matter, but I just curious.
It's the actual drain pipes extend beyond the edge of the house, so they're already,
Oh, it's-
yeah, they're
It's
already.
where it needs to be.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
No other questions. Thank you.
Okay. Robert.
No concern. The work area is already disturbed with lawn and it's in the upland review area, so no concern on the project.
Okay. Dave Fox.
No questions.
Rich Berlandy.
No questions.
Lana.
No questions.
Frank.
No concerns.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to accept the application.
So moved.
Okay, and a second, please.
Second.
Motion's been made and accepted to accept the application. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Chair, just so you know, Andre has attended. He's there, has called in. Are you there, Andre?
Yes, sir. I just put in the chat there was no concerns from me for the application as well.
Okay.
So we'll have to remove I think it was,
I put Alana in. for-
yeah, because Commissioner Roth was next in line, so we'll have to remove Commissioner Rogg.
What are people's opinion for I'll poll the commission for site walk and for significance? Mark,
No sidewalk and non-significant.
okay, Robert,
No need for a sidewalk in a non-significant regulated activity.
okay, Dave,
I agree with both.
okay, Rich,
Ditto.
Andre,
No on both counts.
okay, Frank Roth,
And no significance and no site work.
all right, Alana,
I don't think a site walk is necessary and it's not significant.
okay. All right, so do we make that official, Bruce, with a vote?
No, you don't have to.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, the non.
The non-significant,
Do, but not the sidewalk.
not the sidewalk, but we
Yep.
do, all right, so Chair will entertain a motion that this is not a significant event.
So move more.
All right, and a second, please.
Second by Robert.
Okay, motion made second that this is not a significant activity. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? That motion carries. So we'll see you next week or in the next meeting rather for to vote on the application.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Mhm.
Yep.
All right, next item on the agenda is the Town Memorial Forest and Farmington Land Trust, 8667 Plainville Avenue, Copper Mine Road.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Peter Darpalin, 21 Centerbrook Drive. I'm here representing the Farmington Land Trust. I'm a board member. This is a joint application for the construction of a trail extension. There was an original trail constructed a year last fall. That was approved by the Wetlands exactly a year ago in May, which is that existing trail, yeah, right in there. And what we're proposing is an extension of that existing trail to the west and then to the south to create a loop using what is now the yellow trail, main yellow trails. It's red on this map. From the white trail from the West District Nature Preserve that the Farmington Land Trust owns, and it's where our offices are at the Wilcox Bushley House. I just comment that the original trail that was approved, which is shown here as the existing trail, the commission made a determination that this trail was permitted as a non-regulated use in under wetlands and watercourses per section 4B2 of your regulations. So this application is being brought to the commission because the proposed trail, the one on your left here, it doesn't go through any wetlands, but it is within 150 feet of existing wetlands. Shannon did do a review of this proposed addition, and you have her extensive notes on that. The new addition is going to be about 0.6 miles. As I said, it does not cross any wetlands, but it weaves through rolling terrain with sometimes wetlands on both sides. The soils are classified as a fine sandy loam, so well draining. And as I mentioned previously, hiking trails are permitted as a non-regulated use in wetlands under your inland wetlands regulations. A major portion of the property was purchased through a state deep open space and watershed land acquisition grant program. And one of the requirements of that is that the land be made available to the general public, which would include recreational purposes such as unpaved footpaths, which is what we're proposing. A trail has been flagged. I don't know if you can see it, but there is a pink flagging there. It's mostly open woods. So it's going to be a fairly easy trail to construct. We plan to do if approved, we plan to do the construction this year. No bridges, no other structures will be needed. The construction will be mostly the clearing of the footpath, getting rid of any small vegetation, leaves, and down trees. And clearing, typically we clear the corridor to a 3 to 4 foot width, maybe 7.5 feet high. We don't anticipate any established trees would have to be cut. We'd only be cutting blowdowns that are across the trail. So yeah, lots of wetlands. So it really, the thing that's nice about this trail is it really opens up some interesting terrain in the memorial forest. So I would just, the request to the commission is to make a determination that the trail is a non-regulated use in accordance with section 4B2 of the town's inland wetlands regulations.
Okay. Are there any, I tend to agree that this is permitted as a non-regulated use. And there's no equipment required for this construction. Just
Only a chainsaw.
chainsaws and-
Yeah, that's it. Everything else will be hand tools.
Okay. What are the, well, I'll go to the panel. Mark, do you feel like this is a hiking trail is permitted as non-regulated use?
Well, it just has one question. There's
Sure.
no materials that are gonna be put down at all, just clearing what is.
Yeah, no,
marking the-
no structures.
Well,
No,
I'm talking about like dust or sand, anything like that.
no.
Um,
We might move around a rock, but
Yeah.
that's about it.
I say this permitted.
Okay. Robert, questions?
No questions, and I confirm that it's a non-regulated activity pursuant to 4B2.
Okay. Dave Fox?
No questions, and I concur with non-regulated.
Okay. Rich Berlandy?
I concur. No questions.
Okay. Andre?
No questions and I concur.
Frank?
I concur.
And Alana?
No questions.
No questions, and I concur.
Okay. So Chair will entertain a motion that this work is permitted as a non-regular use in the wetlands per section 4B2 of our inland wetland regulations.
So moved. by Robert.
And a second, please.
Dave will second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded that this is permitted as a non-regulated use. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes.
Very good. Thank you.
Happy trails.
Yeah.
Okay, item number 4, Byron Rodriguez, 9 Apple Tree Lane. Yeah, can't come forward, give your name and address and a description of your application.
Byron Rodriguez, 9 Apple Tree Lane, Farmington, Connecticut.
Okay,
Well, the house has burned.
you got a fire.
Yes, so we knocked it down. So now we're gonna rebuild the house. So I'm adding some foundation. As you can see on the plans. They're gonna add another garage, and then the back on the right, they're adding the garage, and then the front, they're gonna add that piece right there. Then they're gonna add a foyer in the front. And then they're gonna add this piece in the back. No, that's there already.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, that one's there, the other one. where it says 19.5.
Yeah, right here. This piece?
No, down. Right there. That piece they're gonna
This?
add on. No, no.
No, yeah,
That's
yeah, that's where I was, right here.
That.
Yeah, that's where I was, right there. Okay.
And the rest is the pool.
So the pool is being constructed at the same time?
Yes, the pool was already approved on the last permits before the house burned. So they got to dig the hole out and everything, but the house burned, so the construction stopped.
Okay. Um, and that map was prepared by your surveyor or?
Yes, that's the surveyor and the architect.
Okay.
And
So you're
it's
just,
within the
you're
lines.
slightly, or you have some increase on the ends and a little bit in the front and the back. What you're saying.
The
Is
what?
this a basement foundation or
Yes,
is it?
yes, that's the basement foundation.
Okay. Yeah, that's all the questions I have at the moment, but do you have, is the house fully designed or?
Yes.
Yes.
I send the plans to Bruce.
Yeah, I thought I saw the plans on the
Do we open-
SharePoint.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want those opened up or?
No,
Okay.
I'll open up for questions. Mark?
So the end is the extended garage and looks like there's some type of, you're gonna tar that, put some asphalt to
In the
connect to
front.
the garage?
Yes, in the front part. To extend the garage, to extend the driveway. So,
Oh, here. Yeah.
So it's solid, solid tar and everything else, so you
Yes.
can sneak in.
Yes.
So you're moving that closer to the wetlands. How far away from the wetlands is that driveway? That looks like the closest. Do you know, Bruce?
Is the required.
Well, here it's 42.4 feet.
Okay, that's right.
So that's 40 to the property line. So maybe 30 feet-ish probably.
Yes.
It is all lawn now. I could open up the photos if everybody wants to see them.
Yeah, do you have any photos of that area?
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how, like, is the runoff from that extended driveway extension going to flow into that stream?
It's questionable. I mean, it all depends on how you grade it.
Grade it, yeah.
I mean, I'll get over to the picture for you. So here's the garage now. So that addition will be out here. Okay. See my,
That's the new garage?
no,
No,
this is the
that's
old,
the
this is the actual
Okay.
existing garage. So he'll be
All right, all right,
extending it
So
out
the-
this way.
all right.
And then that driveway would come out to here and stroll around. So if you pitch it up, you can technically kick it back into the road if you wanted.
Uh-huh.
But after that, it would grade down into that stream, which is over here. So,
Okay.
Yeah, the driveway is what concerns me. I mean, a garage is a garage, and it is closer to the wetlands than it was before, but
Mhm.
I think that's a good point about how somehow to elevate that driveway so any water would bank away from the wetlands and
Mhm.
go to a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
eventually it all gets to the same location. Let me open this for you.
Where's the swale? There's supposedly, was there a swale?
Yeah, give me a second. Let me open up the GIS.
Because the water that comes from the driveway already goes into the
Oh, into that swale.
into that swell, and it's gonna meet to the other corner of the swell. So it's the same thing.
So Bruce, that's what's happening, right? Are you
No, it goes out on the road right now, I think, when you look at it.
So if we tilt it back to the other driveway, it kind of works against what is currently working.
But it all, like I said, it all eventually gets in the same spot. Tree up right here. So if you take this. So what happens? Storm. Oh. So right now this swale this wetland comes down,
Mm-hmm.
goes underneath his driveway and outlets right here, okay? To this pipe, inlet pipe, which then flows out and goes out towards New Britain Avenue into these backyards and eventually goes across New Britain Avenue. So this driveway would, if it does pitch out the road, would come out into the road, hit the gutter, follow the gutter into the catch basin, and then go out that way. So it's just a matter of how it gets there. But it all ends up in the same location at the end of this outlet.
So if it did kind of slope towards the driveway, it would go down to the street no matter what.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, the driveway has the curb cut, but this little extension is not gonna have a curb.
No, it shows like a little lobe or something over here. Just enough to get in, come off, and get into that third car here.
So you definitely do want to direct it towards the existing driveway.
Yes.
That's my only question
Yeah.
at this time.
Yeah, I think, because in case something's built in that driveway, at least you'd have a chance to
Mhm.
catch it
Yep.
in the driveway, block something, or, as opposed to if the driveway was sloped towards the water source, then there wouldn't be enough time to stop much of anything. So I think, and that's your intention, is to slope that added driveway back towards the existing driveway?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Robert?
In the garage, is it just for residential passenger vehicles or is it oversized for commercial vehicles?
No, just regular.
Thank you. And the question for Bruce. Bruce, there was restoration work that was required at the property. Has all of that been completed and maintained, or is there anything outstanding for restoration?
There was a portion of the work that was done, and then the fire occurred. So at that point, there was no activity going on at the property. I went out there and we go back to here. So I went out and took some pictures again. And this is so I'm standing with the garage to my back right now. That's the area that the restoration occurred, because let me go back to one more picture. Oops. Show you this one here. So just to bring some of the people on board that weren't here back then, this is what the property looked like before they got the approval, the first approval in 2021, I think it was. Okay, so there was some work approved for in this area here for the pool in the back. We went out there, and this area here was all cleared. So as you can see here, this is the area that was cleared, and this was all wetlands. Came in for a restoration plan. Wetland scientists developed a plan. They went out, planted some of it, because some of the stock was not available in that time in the spring, so they were waiting for the fall. So the spring plantings were planted, and then we had the summer, and then the fire, and then there was no work after that. Going out doing my pictures on May 1st. So this is where the pool is, the partially excavated. Here's the swale that runs along the side. Here's the existing garage where they're putting the garage extension. And this is where all the plantings were. The stakes are there.
Yes.
But I didn't see any evidence of any plants left. I think everything has since died, because we did go through that drought last summer, and I don't think anything survived. So
Okay.
that's why I had that in that, and whatever, if the commission does approve this, that has a condition, we need to have this work redone, and as part of it, and work out some kind of a schedule to make sure that this work is getting done in coordination with the house. I don't want the house to be finished and then this work not done. It'd be great to have some kind of a plan that we have, like right now is spring, so maybe we can get some of these plantings done now, and then while they're working on the house, by the fall time, as he's still working on it, they can do the second round. So anticipate a CO maybe end of this year, beginning of next year. Plantings are hopefully done, go from there.
Okay.
So Bruce, what percentage of because the site was extensively disrupted without approval, the enforcement action was issued, the restoration plan was agreed to. What percentage of the restoration work would you say is in place right now?
0. I think it's gonna be 0. I think it all has died off since that point. Like I said, I walked around, I couldn't find any evidence of anything, of any kind of livestock or anything like that. It was all just dead.
So with that, my opinion would be it would be worth a site walk to not only look at the proposed driveway expansion, which I'm not overly concerned about, but I think it would be appropriate to revisit the status of the restoration zone. So that would need. Mr. Wagner, is the environmental professional that designed the restoration plan, is he still retained by you? Would he be available to do a site walk?
Yes, I used George.
Okay. So
George Lowe.
He's still available to.
Yeah, I could call him
Okay, great. Thank you.
and he'll do it.
That's the end of my questions and comments. Thank you.
Okay. Dave?
I had no questions, but I agree that the site walk would be a good idea.
Okay. Rich Belandy?
No questions.
Andre?
No questions.
Frank?
No questions, but I would approve of the site visit.
All right. And Alana?
No questions, but I concur with the site walk.
Okay. Have you talked to a landscaper or somebody about replanting? I mean, if the original first planting has died, then you need to get to that and you need to see start lining up the availability of the plants, because we're not going to approve the application unless we see progress is made on the restoration that we was agreed to.
Yeah, it got done already, but what happened was the situation that happened because Bruce seen it when it got done. And he approved the geothermal and all that after it got done. It had got done already, but after the fire, nobody was in the house or nothing, so the plants ended up dying.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is there, with the house in the situation, the condition it's in, is there any water source in the
No.
house?
Everything is shut off, the water and the lights and everything, because the house is completely knocked down.
So is it possible the lack of water has caused the death of these plants?
Yes, because we couldn't
And
water
so
them.
if we try to put plants in at this point without a water source, the same result will happen.
Unless you can make arrangements with a neighbor or somebody who you could use their water source and pay them for the water. I mean, I think the thing is that we're looking at, we had a plan for last season and you had the fire and whatnot, but I don't know, we just want to make sure that the restoration plan is going forward.
No, it did get done, but when Bruce
It's not
went,
done.
he seen it when it got done. After it got done, then the fire happened and we couldn't attend it. And after that,
But part of what it is calling it done is that you have that period that we monitor, make sure that everything is growing. And so you're back to square one. It's done. Not that you have, it's not done right now.
It's not done right now, but we got to start building the house so we could do the yard.
Okay.
Got the insurance on my back and everything.
Yeah.
For the house.
I'm feeling
And the
badly that
neighbors,
you
everything.
had to go through that, but we still have to make sure that the restoration is. Okay, so I guess we'll accept the application. And we had agreement that we should be doing a site walk on this. And work with Bruce on how you get back to the restoration plan along with the housework. So.
All right, no problem.
Okay.
All right.
So Cheryl,
Do you want to go ahead? Sorry, I apologize.
Chair, entertain a motion to accept the application.
So moved by Robert.
Second by Mark.
All right, motion made and seconded to accept the application. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. And so our next thing will be to, Bruce, want to set up a,
site walk. I'm looking at that. The next meeting is the 20th. So unless all of us want to get divorced and work on Mother's Day, do you want to we can try to do something for during the week, if that's better with the light, or we can try to.
I think we could do something during the week. Like, can people be there for 5:30? What do you think?
Is that better for everybody?
Yeah.
Do like a 5:30 site walk? All right.
Yeah, okay.
I'll set some up for during the week. Maybe just do a Wednesday, where everyone, if that seems to be good for everybody, I'll shoot out a date for Wednesday and get back to me. All right.
Okay.
We'll go from there. So
All right,
Wednesday,
thank you.
5:30.
All right, you welcome.
That'll be the 13th.
1 minute. Okay, for the next application, rather for the next item is the to consider an intervenor status that was submitted to the town. Is the intervenor Stephanie Roman available?
Well, right now, oh, sorry. Yeah, so our first court of order would be to accept, so it would be to review the intervenor petition, and then we need to vote on the intervenor petition. I had since spoken with the town attorney. We've reviewed it and he agrees that this is a petition that is in order. So we should be accepting this petition.
So we were gonna accept based on what we've read on the petition.
Yep.
Before her presentation.
Yeah, just give you, I've got to load a few things because I can't keep too much on this computer. It'll melt down. So there's there's the petition, and I did provide everyone late today. I'm gonna open that up as well.
I'm sorry, one moment.
1 second. This is where it just blows up. So just give it a second. Too many windows open. Go. Beautiful. Okay. And then I'll open up the other document that crashed it. This is the meeting procedure right here. So this was more or less what we agreed to between the applicant, the intervener, town attorney.
Yeah,
As a
I have that.
process. So
Okay, so everybody has received or has access to, had access to the petition that was submitted to the town. So we will, hopefully you've had a chance to review the petition, and we'll entertain a motion to accept the intervener petition.
So moved by
Okay, and a second, please.
Second, Mark.
Okay. Motion made and seconded to accept the intervener petition that we've received. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, motion passes. Okay, now we'll have the intervener. Now please present your intervener's petition, limited to the information that you've presented in this petition.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, point of order, my name is Robert Reed, I represent the applicant.
Exactly. Sorry. Thank you. Yes. So they just closed it. So now we've got to reopen the public hearing.
We didn't close the public.
Not, sorry, not reopen, but
Begin.
Well, can I ask the question? Last meeting, we talked about there is something on the conservation
Mhm.
agenda. And we got this public hearing on this. And there was something to be said before we could close the public hearing. We had to do something on this side? of
yes,
Conservation?
that'll be after, that'll be at during the conservation.
I didn't know if we could, I think the question was, can we adjourn the,
No, we cannot close the hearing. We cannot close the inland wetlands commission hearing tonight.
all right, I thought there was a problem, the fact that we had to deal with the conservation.
Exactly. So we have to continue the hearing tonight,
Yep,
close the inland wetlands meeting.
Yep.
Go to conservation, make a referral back to wetlands, and then next meeting.
we'll deal with it. Okay.
Exactly.
So we're not doing it in the same,
Yep.
we're talking about maybe doing the same night, but
Mhm.
we're not doing that. We're
Exactly.
Moving forward for that.
So-
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, so we did not close the meeting, but I
Mhm.
guess we should officially, or rather did not close the public hearing, but we will reopen it as we speak.
Reconvene as.
Reconvene.
Thank you.
All right, that's a better word, yes.
April 15th. meeting.
Thank you. Okay. Intervener, make your, present your petition, please.
Bruce, if you're to be able to open.
Yep.
the-
Give me 1 second.
Thank you.
Like I said, I crashed, so I lost everything open. So is Sigrid here?
I don't think so.
Okay.
She did say she was on her way.
No, it's here. Give me 1 second. Assessment report.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Stephanie Roman. I am the property owner of 1292, 1294 Slater Road in New Britain, Connecticut. I have intervened in this proceeding because this proposal poses a threat to our natural resources and our community. This commission may deny an application when a project is likely to harm natural resources, and the evidence shows that this one will. So just to emphasize the magnitude of this proposed development, the following is a general overview of the proposal, which will convert an area currently zoned for residential use to commercial or industrial use. We're talking about 18,000 square feet warehouse, over 8,000 square foot travel center and diesel fuel with the diesel fueling station, over 100 parking spaces, and it's located in a wetlands area with over 50 acres of high functioning wetlands. There are 2 identified vernal pools on the site, and there's only an approximately 20-foot setback from the southern wetland boundary. I have intervened pursuant to the Connecticut Environmental Protection Act, which provides that the commission should not authorize conduct that is reasonably likely to pollute, impair, or destroy natural resources. My verified petition detailed the likely pollution and impairment to the wetlands and surrounding area. As intervener, I intend to present additional evidence to support the allegations in the petition, including expert reports and assessments. So what is at stake? This plan would substantially increase impervious surface cover in this area, which will cause long-term destruction to the wetlands. It is widely known that increased impervious surface cover causes increases in stormwater runoff and disrupts natural hydrology of wetlands. It is what, and there are reports. So there's a 2024 report by the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection that already confirms substantial deterioration in the Batterson Park Pond area caused by highly impervious watershed drains, including an estimate that there is 28% development in this watershed when studies show threshold prior to degradation is 12%. The engineered systems in the plan are inadequate to replicate the wetlands and would cause lower water levels to vernal pools on site by substantially altering the hydrology of the wetlands as well as deterioration of organic soils. So this is just a map that shows the extent of open space currently surrounding Batterson Park. As you can see, the area immediately surrounding Batterson Park Pond is already substantially developed. You can go to the next map. So this is the Farmington zoning map. And just to emphasize that the orange and yellow area immediately surrounding Batterson Park Pond is residential. And the conversion of this area for industrial use will exacerbate the extent of high intensity development, which is just just not inconsistent with the residential use that's currently surrounding that area. The plan will negatively impact water quality with unreasonable pollutant loading and loss of filtration. The plan's reliance on engineered systems carries high risk. Underground retention systems and hydrodynamic separators are insufficient given the proximity to wetlands. Studies show that TSS removal efficiencies could be only 30 to 50% and have also shown that dissolved pollutants would not be treated by these systems. No infiltration is allowed based on the proposed land use, and the plan intends to use wetlands to treat the stormwater, but that should not be permitted. And there is no evidence of pollutant treatment capacity here in this design. There's a high risk of dissolved pollutants that will not be treated by the current proposed plans. And these dissolved pollutants could be sourced from diesel spills, hydrocarbons, heavy metals, and PAHs. Maintenance failure risks are inherent, but they should not be discounted. And there are no contingency plans in this proposal. Groundwater contamination would require costly and long remediation. The long-term impacts of this proposal are more likely to be irreversible. You go to the next. The potential risk of pollution by hydrocarbons and other contaminants from diesel fuel and trucking operations is real. In fact, there were already spills reported at the Noble gas station just across the street in 2022 and 2025, which required remediation of over 2,000 gallons of groundwater. This only shows that mitigation efforts fail, and the risk posed by this property use in this wetlands is just clearly unreasonable. So turning to the habitat impact, The plan's 100-foot buffer from the northernmost vernal pool and 20-foot setback from the wetlands boundary is woefully insufficient and does not meet the standards applied by this commission and other wetlands commissions in this state. The reports supporting the proposal unreasonably disregard the quality of the wetlands on this property. The proposal does not account for the significant risks and impact of habitat fragmentation. There's substantial scientific evidence supporting the southern wetlands habitat is linked and depends on the northern wetlands area, which is elaborated upon in the report by Karya Ecological Services dated May 4th, 2026, which Sigrin Gadwa will be addressing on the evidence that I will present. So Sigrid isn't here to present her report, but I'd like to, we are talking about later potentially continuing this hearing where her testimony would be able to be admitted. And as I mentioned, her report has been shared with the commission.
Skip the slide, just go next
Yeah,
one.
you can-
Oh, sorry.
So to summarize, the commission should not authorize an application that is reasonably likely to pollute, impair, or destroy natural resources. The plan presents significant risks of pollution and impairment to wetlands, water quality, and critical terrestrial habitat. And there are no real mitigation and contingency measures. And this plan will cause irreparable damage.
Okay.
Are you entering in anything for the record?
I can.
Okay. All right. No.
All right, well, now we'll have the applicant will give the opportunity to present the rebuttal.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Excuse me. My name is Robert Reeve. I'm an attorney with Scully Nixon Reeve at 79 Main Street in Unionville. Represent the applicant, Noble Energy Real Estate Holdings. Just a little history. Attorney Roman wrote a letter, I think back on April 8th. And then a week ago, she filed her petition to intervene. And then yesterday, we received that she submitted a report from a soil scientist. We intend to address all that, but we haven't had a sufficient opportunity to do it. So our remarks tonight will be limited. We will take that up in detail at the next hearing. A couple of preliminary comments about Attorney Roman's presentation. She stated that we were converting this property to an industrial use. I don't believe that's correct. This is a commercial use. We filed an application with the Planning and Zoning Commission to change the use to a business use, not an industrial use. And she also said the surrounding area was residential, which is partially correct, but there are a number of commercial uses, as you're well aware, on Fenneman Road in the area. And I would submit to you that Interstate 84 is a commercial use as well. The other thing I want to say, with all due respect to Attorney Roman, she's an attorney. She's not a scientist. She's not an expert witness on matters of wetland science. And 90s, well, I won't give a percentage, but a lot of what she said I would classify as layperson speculation on matters that require an expert witness to rise to the level of substantial evidence. So just that's my comment on her presentation so far. We will be rebutting it in depth at the next meeting. Just to a little bit of background, we opened the public hearing on April 15th. I think all of you were here or remotely, or perhaps maybe Commissioner Eisner will have the opportunity to review the record. And there were a number of questions asked, good questions. We've been compiling answers to those, and we're going to address those tonight as well. As Bruce has indicated, the hearing does need to be continued until the 20th of May, so you can receive a report from yourselves from the Conservation Commission. And that's a quirk in the regulations that goes back to the time when this commission was part of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and we would regularly go to the Conservation Commission to make recommendations back to Planning and Zoning, which was then the Wetlands Commission. So the current version of the plans that you have in front of you are dated April 10th. And we believe that they do present a feasible and prudent alternative to the plan that was in the original application. We've eliminated the restaurant building. We've decreased the size of the travel center and of the warehouse. We've reduced the impervious surface. We've increased the buffers. We've increased the mitigation and other wetlands enhancements to further reduce the possibility of any adverse impacts. And there is already expert testimony in the record that there will not be any adverse impacts from this development. Bruce reviewed the revised plans, and I think just this afternoon we received his comment on that. He did indicate that if the commission chooses to approve it, he believes that the plans would not need further revision for you to do that. They could be approved with a condition of approval. We haven't had a chance to go through all his comments in depth, but I think I don't see any significant issues with anything that he's asking for. So for tonight, our response will be somewhat limited. We're going to have Tyler Capel from Solely Engineering is going to address some of the questions that you raised last time. Mike Frisbee is the owner operator of the Noble gas station locations in southern New England. He's going to address Noble safety protocols that they follow for handling materials, fuels, gasolines, diesel fuels. Jackson Smith from William Kenny Associates is here, and Bill Kenny is on the call. They're the soil scientists. They did go back out since the last hearing and do further investigations on the vernal pool. There's a report from them that was dated April 30th. That's part of the record, and they're going to describe your findings about the vernal pool tonight, as well as Bill's going to describe some of the mitigation the efforts that have been added to the plan. So with that, I'll ask Taylor from Solely Engineering to address some of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. For the record, my name is Taylor Capel. I am a licensed civil engineer in the state of Connecticut. I'm with Solely Engineering. Bruce, do you have the presentation that we have?
Oh,
yes, you'll be able to pull up? Thank you.
Sorry for that.
That's okay.
Everything else, 5-6 presentation here.
Thanks, Bruce. As Bob mentioned, I'm here with Michael Frisbee, Jackson Smith, and Bill Kenny is remote. He should be called in. The first slide here, just wanted to bring back up the conservation easement that we are planning to put in place on this property. As you can see, the green area shaded, just to reiterate from last time, is the planned area of conservation, which is approximately 75 acres. The entire site itself is an 86-acre parcel, give or take, a little bit over 86 acres. And so by conserving 75 acres of this parcel, we are looking at an 86% of this site will be placed in a conservation easement to prevent future development on this site. Within that conservation easement, there are 50 plus acres of wetlands. You can see it covers the majority of the southern portion and a big chunk in the middle. And again, we are not planning on doing anything in that area that will be conserved. The area of our planned development is, you can see, is off to the page right here along Fieneman Road and Slater Road. There's approximately 7.5 acres of proposed development within that area. You can go to the next one. Yeah, thank you. So I just wanted to kind of reiterate what Bob said about this being a prudent alternative. If you remember from our initial filing, we had a warehouse that was 28,000 square feet. We've reduced that down by 10,000 square feet to 18,000. The travel center was 10,000 square feet. That has been reduced down to 8,400. There was also a restaurant use that was to be included off to the northeast corner of this that has been removed from the application. And we have, in doing so, we've reduced the impervious area down to about 4.5 acres versus it was over 5 previously. Another thing that Bob did not mention as far as the changes, previously the western drive along Fiedman Road was going to be a direct impact in the wetlands pocket along Fiedman Road there. Through the redesign, we have been able to shift that to the east to avoid the direct impact and running through that wetlands. Now, there will be some minor impacts with grading purposes, but again, it is a huge reduction versus what we were originally proposing to do. Next slide, please, Bruce. So now I'd like to get into some of the questions that were brought up at the last hearing on the 15th of April. One of the questions that was brought up was about snow removal and where that would be placed on the site. The areas in yellow highlighted on this plan are the intended areas for the snow storage during the winter seasons. All of these areas will drain through our underground storm system, as they will not directly drain into the wetlands. They will be captured through our underground system prior to and treated prior to discharge. The green areas highlighted on the lower portion are in response to some of the other questions about the vernal pool and protecting of the salamanders, keeping them out of the development. So behind the warehouse, we will intend to put a elevated curb, which will help deter the salamanders from making their way up into this area. The retaining wall along the back drive will also act as a deterrent as well. Bruce, if you wouldn't mind shifting over to the right of this page here. The access drive along Slater Road, we have talked about doing what's called a Cape Cod curbing. It's essentially a much shallower curb that would allow the salamanders and other animals to travel over the curbing and to get up into the other isolated wetland pocket along Slater Road there. This way, we're not completely shutting off that area of the site from any animals who may be using that currently. The last area of highlight on the wetlands on the Fienneman Road there, the small green, that's the indication of where the impact is now from grading purposes. Again, this is going to function still as part of the wetlands, and it is just going to be disturbed during the construction and will be mitigated as part of Jackson's design and Bill Kenny's. Next slide, please, Bruce. So some of the other questions that were brought up were about the fill that was going to be needed now that we are no longer cutting where the restaurant was previously going to go. As part of our initial design and designs in general, we try and limit the amount of fill that we need to bring in. Obviously, ideally it would be a balanced site, not having to fill or cut. We do our best to get as close to that as we can. In this case, given the existing topography and being able to maintain appropriate slopes through both drives, parking areas, as well as ADA ramps for the sidewalks throughout the site, we did look into whether or not we would be able to reduce that fill. Fortunately, we aren't able to reduce it in a significant amount. This will be about what was shown on the previous hearing, which was just over 5,000 cubic yards, I believe it was. In terms of the development size, I just want to bring up again that this is a small portion of this site. We are, again, looking to conserve over 85% of this site. The developed area is, again, roughly 7.5 acres. And we're limiting any clearing outside of that development area to pretty tight. We don't want to clear any more than we need to in order to construct this. And so just wanted to, again, reiterate the fact that it's a small portion of this site. One other topic of discussion at the last hearing was concerned over spills, and I know dissolved pollutants was brought up as well. I'll touch on the dissolved pollutants a little bit, and then Mike will be able to touch on the Nobles practices. For the dissolved pollutants, we are looking into alternatives in order to add some biofiltration into our stormwater design that will again address those dissolved pollutants in order to capture and remediate some of that as it's treated prior to getting into the retention system and then ultimately into the discharge. This could be in place of or in addition to the hydrodynamic separators. We are still working through that design, but we intend to have that for the next public hearing on the 20th. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Mike Frisbee, who can talk about Noble's practices.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Michael Frisbee. I'm the owner of Noble Energy Real Estate Holdings and Noble Gas Inc. Thanks for having us this evening. Just want to touch on one thing that Taylor said. Because of the fact that we're here and because of Stephanie's petition, we have been looking at other ways to help design the site for the better. And I'd like to think that I'm one of those leaders in the industry that would try and do these things that make it better and better in all the different projects that we do, so we can be an example and use best practices. But one of the things I want to touch on with regard to Noble's practices, best management practices. So in the state of Connecticut, all gas stations are required to have what they call an A, and I'm going to give you general terms, but an A, B, and a C operator. And what that means is you need an A operator. And if you own one gas station, if I own just one gas station, I operated that one station, I could be an A, B, and C operator altogether. You have to study, you have to take a test, and then you have to be able to perform those duties. And I'll outline some of those right now. But as an owner of a network of stations, we can have an A operator, a B operator, C operator, and I'll tell you what the differences are. An A operator is in charge of what we call broad compliance, right? So that is generally my general manager. So he is required to make sure that the compliance ensures that the UST systems meet all the Connecticut DEP regulations, including registration and permits, resource allocation, maintaining personnel, and establishing work assignments to maintain that compliance. Documentation, which is very important, providing, maintaining financial responsibility documents on site, which we do, and then training oversight. So ensuring that the Class B and C operators are properly trained and that all records are kept for at least 5 years on property. Then there's the Class B operator, and generally the Class B operators are in charge of the daily operations. So they're on site every day, or the majority of the days. And the Class B operator, the requirements in the field, and those are my managers and or assistant managers in my stations are the Class B operators. And their main responsibilities as the manager of that facility is to monitor and maintain release detection, I'll explain that in a minute, spill prevention, and overfill equipment. They're in charge of inspections, supervising mandatory monthly visual inspections of vent risers, spill buckets, and dispenser hoses, all on property. They're also responsible for record keeping and maintaining daily inventory readings and weekly reconciliation reports to identify any leaks. And then Class C training. So they would be helping provide initial and annual training to Class C operators, which would be our general cashiers, people that work on the, in the facility. So anyone that's working on property for Noble is responsible to have an A, B, or C designation. The Class C operator is really the emergency response type responsibility. They're the first line of response, right? Immediate action, responding to alarms, indicators, or spills or releases. They're responsible for notification. So immediately notifying an A or B operator as the emergency responders or the local fire department or the Connecticut DEP based on the state regulations. And they're responsible for mitigation. So they follow written instructions for initial mitigation protocols during an emergency if one happens. Because all of our stores are new to industry, we use the latest technology. So we use what's called a Veeder-Root 450 plus, which is a gas station automated system that reports back if there's any compliance issues, right? So we have electronic leak detection, which is both static and I won't get into all of it. It's leak detection, both in the sumps and the interstitial monitoring for the tanks, electronic line detection. So in the lines of some of the older gas stations don't have this technology, but all the new ones do. The Veeder-Root system also is good for reporting and record keeping. So from a compliance standpoint, it stores at least 3 years worth of past or leak tests, which are vital to the Connecticut DEP inspectors. So when they come in, they can see our records right away automated, and it's audited. Inventory reconciliation, it automates the daily inventory and weekly reconciliation tasks that in the old gas stations, they used to have to stick the tank to see if, what the volume was. And then we have remote access. So I can look at it on my computer at home or on my phone to see if for all of my stations to see what's going on. And then the Veeder-Root system also has what they call common alarms. So if there's any water that actually gets into the system, it'll have an alarm that goes off. Then they have the sensors go off if there happens to be a detected leak. And then even if it even alarms you if there's a paper outage in the system, so that you can automatically hit a button and do a full report. Let's see. I bring up one of the most common issues at a gas station convenience store is not necessarily an issue with the tanks. It's an issue with somebody leaves their nozzle in their car and then drive away, right? So what we call drive offs. So we have the latest technology with that because we have breakaway valves at the top, and then it's an automatic shut off. So if they drive away, whatever's in the nozzle at the time, that's the extent of the release, and generally it's a small amount. All right, so back to what we're required to do. So we have monthly visual inspections for those nozzles because it's one of the most things. And then we have what we call reconnect protocols. If something happens, we click it back in. And then there's certain height requirements and things that the state or the town will allow us to do this. As part of our operational protocol and design features, it's we're required to have emergency stops. So they have to be within 20 to 100 feet of the gas pumps. So we have an emergency stop outside. We also have one inside where the cashier attendant is generally located right at the register. So it's an easy on, it's very well marked. So there isn't any issue with that. So the other interesting fact when we design our stores is that if you haven't been to one, our attendants are facing out with big windows so they can see everything in front of them. So in case there's an event outside, you can hit the button automatically. You don't have to wait for somebody to come in and tell them that something because their back is turned, whatever. So that's a very important design feature that I built into our stores to make sure that we can have that. And part of it is you can see in, you can see out, see everything else. We also have video monitors. We have over 35 cameras outside on the property. So we can see everything on the video monitor right inside as well. So the attendant has that. And when they an important thing, when they hit the e-stop, it turns everything off in the whole store. So if somebody's pumping at one dispenser, it turns them all off. So you can't, just, so it's automatic, then we have to restart. Some of the responsibilities that we have, let's skip that. Some of the design features that we have in, Taylor touched on it, I think at the last meeting, but we have some, in the event that we have a small spill on the concrete pad, there's what they call positive limited barriers. So, it can handle a little bit, and it's graded in such a way so it'll end up in the grooves. I think you've probably seen them if you've been to a gas station before. And purpose that's for spill containment. And then obviously we have the cleanup. So when we talk about if there was an incident on staff, our C operators or A, B, and C operators or C operators, if there was a spill, we have a protocol. So we have spill buckets. We have what we call speedy dry, or people call it cat litter, but speedy dry out there. So there's different the protocols and cleaning things up. We have absorbent material that can clean it up. And even if it gets wet, it'll still absorb the gasoline. So some of the things that we do and we record is we have monthly visual inspections. So it's 12 times a year we're looking at things. The tanks, the sumps, the alarms, we're making sure all that's working. We have annual compliance testing. That's required at least once a year, and we have that. And that includes vapor recovery, leak detection, cathodic protection, and pump accuracy to make sure that we're not either giving away product or giving less product than we should. And then every 3 years, the Connecticut Department DEP has a compliance inspection program, and they come out and they check, and it's unannounced, and they come and check all your records. And we have everything in our office in each facility. I think if you ask them, we do a really good job when it comes to that. And their inspection comes to verify our records, the monthly inspections, leak tests, financial responsibilities, and physical inspection of the system and leaks. And then they check our secondary containment. Let's see if I have anything else that I could help with that. Talked about that. Happy to answer any questions that anybody might have. Thank you very much.
All right, we have to, our process, give the applicant, or rather the intervener, an opportunity to ask a question.
Mr. Chair, I think we have a little bit more. I'm sorry, I should have introduced Jackson. I'm sorry.
My apologies.
For the record, my name is Jackson Smith. I am a certified associate ecologist with William Kenny Associates out of Fairfield, Connecticut. Bruce, on the presentation farther down, there's a nice aerial with some vernal pool lines and overall wetland lines. Thank you. So for tonight, I'll try to keep it brief. Really, I just want to summarize the vernal pool report that we had submitted this Monday, which was an update to our second investigation, which occurred on April 24th. And in summary, we again have two vernal pools on site. Vernal pool 1 is located in the northern portion of the property, and vernal pool 2 is located in the eastern central portion of the property. And before I go on those, for Commissioner Fox, we did look again at the two roadside ones when we were out there in late April. No changes in those. Again, no water in the one by Slater Road, and then the one on Finneman Road, no egg masses or dried egg masses. Overall, vernal pool 1 is a shallow cryptic wetland with pit and mound topography. We were finding 2 to 4 inches of water throughout that vernal pool, and then it has several more deep pocket areas where water can get up to 1 foot. The primary water source is likely surface water runoff that's inletting from a daylighted culvert that runs along Slater Road. There's a notable quantity of trash and debris within that water course that leads down from Slater to the vernal pool. And in addition, as we noted in our report, that surface water coming from that culvert is primarily coming from a very developed portion of New Britain. So it's fair to say that there's a quantity of road and yard pollutants in that surface water that's inletting to the pool. We did not find any wood frogs, berry shrimp, or fingernail clams. We did find about over 50 spotted salamander egg masses. When we were out there on the 24th, the egg masses were still present. They had not hatched yet. This is consistent with what we had been finding at our other sites around Connecticut. I expect that they'll be hatched next week or two here. Vernal pool 2 in the eastern central portion of the property. That's your more traditional depressional vernal pool. It had about 3 to 4 feet of water in the center there. That likely receives some surface water flow from the abutting residences. And in that one, we identified wood frog masses in early April. Those hatched and transitioned into viable wood frog tadpoles when we were out there in late April. In addition, we still saw the spotted salamander masses were still present in late April. As discussed at the last meeting and in our report, there's 2 areas of concern when it comes to protecting vernal pools, those being the vernal pool envelope and then the critical terrestrial habitat. The vernal pool envelope is your 100-foot buffer, which helps to support the water quality of the pool, as well as adds your regenerative organic materials back into the pool. And then your critical terrestrial habitat, which extends about 750 feet from the pool edge, is real habitat for the species used for foraging and overwintering during the non-breeding season. In an ideal world, you would have 100% of the VPE undeveloped and 75% of that larger CTH undeveloped. However, it still has been documented that you can maintain a tier 1 high functioning vernal pool if you reduce to 75% undeveloped in the VPE and 50% undeveloped in the CTH. To talk about those in percentages, currently 100%, this is for vernal pool 1 in the north there, currently 100% undeveloped VPE and 77% undeveloped CTH. As you can see, the development in the CTH is stemming from roadways, the I-84 off-ramp, and then residential properties in New Britain. The proposed project will not alter the vernal pool envelope, leaving it 100% undeveloped. It will slightly increase development, the developed portion of CTH by 12%. And it's going to raise that overall CTH development of vernal pool 1 to about 46%. You can still meet the criteria for a tier 1 high functioning vernal pool as we're under that 50% threshold. When we talk about vernal pool 2, farther south there, unfortunately, that vernal pool envelope is not 100% undeveloped. And this is due to several abutting homeowners, including the intervener, who have trespassed onto the property, deforested the vernal pool envelope, and then developed impervious surfaces and overall a low value lawn habitat within that vernal pool envelope. And in addition, this image is pretty clear on here. You can see that almost the entire portion of VP2's eastern segment of critical terrestrial habitat has been lost due to residential development. Our project is roughly 1,000 feet from vernal pool 2. As such, we're going to have no alteration to that pool's VPE or CTH. And to reiterate, the project is not going to alter vernal pool 1's VPE. Rather, we see it as 2 primary changes that are going to occur. First, we're going to place 75 acres of contiguous, unfragmented woodland into a conservation easement to protect these pools in the long term and prevent future encroachment into either pool's vernal pool envelope. And second, we're going to raise development. We're going to raise the developed portion of vernal pool 1's critical terrestrial habitat from 33% to 46%. And I know off the bat, 46% is a number that may be a little uneasy, but I think it's good to look at a real world on-site example of this. If you look at vernal pool 2, not only is over 40% of that CTH developed, but 13% of its vernal pool envelope is also developed. Nonetheless, we still have a high functioning vernal pool that's showing more diversity than vernal pool 1, despite its developed buffers. The overall point of this is to say that the site is located, we're in a developed portion of central Connecticut. And on site, we have a population of amphibians that have adapted to that fact of life, and they're still succeeding, breeding, and development in both of the vernal pools. And with that in mind, the trade-off of developing this small piece of land to protect 75 acres of on-site habitat allows us to conclude that the proposed development will not adversely impact on-site vernal pools. And with that, I'll turn it over to Bill Kenny on Zoom, who's going to go into more depth about our wetland mitigation plans.
Good evening. I'm Bill Kenny, a principal of William Kenny Associates at Fairfield, professional wetland scientist, soil scientist, and landscape architect. If possible, if we could move to the next couple of slides, that'd be great. We did include here some photos before we get into the drawing itself. Wanted to review with you this photo of existing conditions. This is immediately west of the proposed western entry into the development site. That's Finneman Road. On the left, we're looking east. To the right is south of the subject property where the development is proposed. And you could see Finneman Road, there's several hundred feet of pavement that extends away from us in this photo, that extends east, and water collected on that road gets carried all the way down the road along a curb, and then it drops right in where you can see this paved curb cut here, where water is collected off the road and discharged right into the wetland that is adjacent to the road at the northern end of the property. This water, because in the pipe that extends beneath the road that conveys this water to the north to Batterson Park Pond, the water will come off the road and pretty much go right into that pipe and down towards the pond. And this is linked to our proposed mitigation. One part of our proposed mitigation. Now, with the initial project design, where the wetland that we're looking at was proposed to be mostly eliminated, we developed a mitigation strategy where we would create new wetland, but we would also create new wetland to make up for the wetland area loss. But we also said, there's a great opportunity here to protect the downstream wetlands, improve the value and water quality and habitat quality of those downstream wetlands and of Batterson Park Pond by collecting this water off the road and treating it before it is discharged through that pipe and under the road and to the pond and the wetlands north of the road. So that was under the initial project design where we had wetland loss. But with the new design, the driveway has shifted, the entrance drive to the project has shifted, which has resulted in a situation where there's no wetland loss anymore. But nonetheless, there's still an opportunity to help improve water quality and habitat quality north of the property by collecting this water in a more controlled format, collecting it and then expanding the wetland to the right and managing the water in such a way as it moves through that wetland so that it has a greater opportunity to be cleaned before it's discharged north to the pond, to Batterson Park Pond. This was something, as I said, that we developed when the wetland was going to be removed. It is not a required measure to take care of the stormwater management for the proposed project. This is really an additional thing. It is something that we think is really a good idea. However, it's not essential to the project. It can be removed if for some reason you find that you don't think it's worthy of doing at this location. And with the proposed project, we still, even though we're not eliminating the majority of this wetland anymore, we still expanded the wetland. The next couple of photos are examples of some work that we've done on other projects. Oh, that's another photo of the existing wetland. We just we turned, that was a view further south of the initial photo. So we just turned to the right and looked into the property. The road is off to the left. This is another noble gas project in Enfield, Connecticut, where we teamed up again with Solely Engineering and with Noble. And it really is a great example of Mr. Frisbee's commitment to being innovative and going a step beyond your typical gas station and EV center. This had substantial wetland mitigation, creation, the pond you're looking at, and several acres, we created, I think, several acres of wetlands at this site, including the pond that you're looking at. The gas station facility itself is off to the right. This Solely Engineering won an award for this project from the Connecticut American Council of Engineering Companies, and they won a Connecticut Engineering Excellence Award for this project. And if you're ever up in the Enfield area, I suggest you stop by and take a look at it. It really is a great success, a good balance of environmental protection and enhancement and some development of a property. The next photo is a site that we worked on in Stratford, Connecticut. You could see some power lines in the background. That's Metro North Railroad. We, as part of a development on this property, we created this wetland area. This was just 1 year after the wetland was created, and all the trees that you're seeing are new trees, and all the ground cover vegetation is all new. And there was no water, no wetland in this area before this project was done. This was for a similar facility, a warehouse facility. And so we have a tremendous amount of experience designing these type of wetland areas. And I've been doing this for over 30 years with my background in land use ecology. And so both great background with the science as well as the design as a professional landscape architect. And this is where we focus a lot of our work. So the next slide, I believe, is our drawing. And this drawing has a variety of information. We have two plan views. The northwest corner of the property, and Feynman Road is to the north. North is up on the page. The curb cut that I talked about in the initial photo is just to the left of the cursor. You can see a light blue line is the pipe that extends under the road. The wetland is a dark green area with a red dashed line around it with a W around the dashes. And this is the existing wetland is on the right-hand side, and we're proposing to expand that wetland by close to half, maybe 40% to the left. And we're proposing other modifications, removing invasive vegetation and planting native vegetation, the trees and ground covers similar to the last photo we saw for the project that we worked on in Stratford. And we would be collecting the road runoff off to the right of this image, just east of this image, putting that into a catch basin, allowing to remove some of the coarse sediments with a deep sump and hooded outlet, and then discharging that into a sediment sump immediately at the eastern end of the wetland, and just to the left of the entry drive that you see right in that area. So we'd have a sediment sump there, and then the water would discharge into the wetland, and we would pool it in a level area, be a depressional system where shallow pooling of water, about 6 to 12 inches of water on average. And we propose to put in a low stone berm about 10 feet or so off that pipe that would create this to help retain the water behind that berm, and the water would slowly filter through that berm. At higher flows, it would flow over the top of the berm, but it would hold this water back, provide opportunities for pollutants to settle out and pollutants to be filtered through the vegetation, to be absorbed to the vegetation and to the soils, and help to clean that water before it makes its way under the road and to Batterson Park Pond. And the vast majority of that existing wetland is not disturbed. I did see in Bruce's notes, there was a reference to a note that we have on our drawing here about grading in this area, and the grading for the existing wetland, that's an error on our part. It's not intended to grade the existing wetland. It's just to control invasives and plant supplement the existing plantings with new native plantings. The grading would be in the expanded wetland on the left side or on the west side. So we'll correct that on our drawing. Then this is at the northwest corner of the development, and at the southwest corner, there's just a very small area where we're creating a small wetland at the outlet of the stormwater retention system. Previously, with the initial project design, we did have a much larger area of new wetland designed in this southwest corner, but with the reduction in wetland impacts, that area is not needed anymore. So we just focused on providing some improved habitat at the outlet of that pipe. So in addition to the plan views that are on the drawing, we do have section views to make it easier to understand what's happening. We also have a plant list with where we identify the different types of plants that are proposed, the quantities, the types. And also a comment from Bruce was the ask that we identify on the plan views where each plant is going. We have symbols for the plants, but we didn't call it out by species. So that we certainly can do that and add the species indicators to the plan as well. And we do have a second sheet of drawing with a very detailed amount and comprehensive amount of notes regarding how this work should be completed, how it should be monitored, and how it should be maintained in the long term. So it's a second sheet, and there's planting details as well as an extensive amount of notes. Be pleased to answer any questions that you might have.
Is the applicant complete? Okay. Well, will the intervener have any questions for the applicant?
I have a question for William Kenny and Associates. I'm not sure if Bill or someone in the room would answer, but do you agree that the groundwater and surface water from the northern wetland slopes down towards the vernal pool?
William Kenny, are you there?
Would you clarify when you say the northern wetland? There's a wetland to the northwest that we've been discussing, and the northeast.
Area, yeah, the area where where the planned development is. Let's just call that north.
Yes.
Do you agree that the groundwater, surface water from that area slopes downward towards the vernal pool?
A portion of that, the eastern portion of the development, southeastern portion where that access road comes in, does slope down towards the vernal pool. Does drain to the vernal pool.
Right, and there's no filtration in this project, right?
There will be filtration. We'll be addressing that with our
No infiltration, no infiltration. Great.
The water that's collected from the proposed improvements does not include infiltration into the soils.
Okay. So if you have the top part that slopes downward, we're going to cover that with impervious surface. So how will that, without the infiltration, how will that southern vernal pool you're calling BP1, how will it recharge?
Yes, we will provide a detailed response to that before the next meeting.
Okay.
It really needs to be quantified. You need to look at the entire watershed, and we're working on that. That's a very good comment, and we do have a response for that. But it needs to be quantified, and we haven't had a chance to do that yet.
Okay. Did you observe the same vegetation and species in the northern wetland as compared to the southern wetland? What I'm calling northern part where you plan development, and then south where VP2 is. Did you find the same plants and vegetation species?
Generally speaking, yes.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, for the record, I think it would be really important if we have the speakers identify who's making the comment, because we've had 3 different people respond to questions from the intervener.
Jackson Smith, and Associates. Yes, generally speaking, it's the same. Overall, it's a red maple swamp. The northernmost segment of that wetland, where the vernal pool is a much more inundated red maple swamp than the southern portion, which presents as a more of a drier wetland, if you will.
But would you say that, but you did observe spotted salamander in both portions?
Correct.
And wouldn't that support then that the northern and southern portions are of similar quality?
We have identified both of those vernal pools as tier 1 high functioning vernal pools. Yes.
Okay. And is there any data supporting that this plan meets the required water quality volume treatment requirements for pollutant removal efficiencies?
That would be for Taylor from Sully Engineering.
Yeah, Taylor from Sully Engineering will be addressing that.
And then I guess this is for Mr. Frisbee. I think you mentioned the deep inspections. Were there any findings during any of the recent inspections? At the Noble gas station across the street. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, you can speak in that one.
Hear me okay?
Yeah.
So as an example, one of the things that from that put in their original so this is a good example to show you how we respond. The DEP compliance inspection happened on August 12th, 2025. Within the next 7 days, on August 19th, we identified damaged spill bucket by transforming beyond. On August 22nd, our environmental companies, CFG Environmental, had CCMI on site to replace damaged spill bucket. It's just what I explained to spill bucket. Underground storage tanks, we have product into spill buckets. When they release the valve and pull it out, then the excess product in the soup goes in the spill bucket and then eventually ends up in the tanks. So it's preventive measure. We found a hole in the spill bucket that was damaged. Typically what happens is damage. Generally the person operating it, dropping product, or dropping a tool over there, or do something that would damage the bucket. But we actually found it. CMG visited the site to observe the replacement of the spill bucket. And
TOBs, CMGC that is still sample like it on 8/27, CMG returned supervised monitoring for the well location, and the DEP was notified on that day. The kill stream for vapor monitoring wells, found a third of the concentration less on the second. On August 29th, CMG and Geo Search installed 5 monitoring wells, collected samples, CMG did not identify any TOBs, any mistakes. 9/24 and on 9/30, CMG visits the groundwater samples. Intent 2, CMG contracted Boston Greenfield Company to perform a vacuum extraction and extracted groundwater from the USD pit area in Keystone. There was no soil issue in Keystone and the water in Keystone. Keystone doesn't absorb the hydrocarbon. They transported off so the farm recycling. On December 1st, CMG returned to collect groundwater samples. There was no detection of petroleum hydrocarbons or target compound in any of the 5 monitoring wells. Vacuum extraction of the affected groundwater from USD pit successfully mitigated DHB from the target DOC detection previously identified. On 3/4, CMG visited the site to collect groundwater samples. CMG did not identify any evidence of gasoline types or soil groundwater outside of the pit. CMG plans on 1 additional quarterly round of groundwater monitoring in the second quarter of 2026 to confirm groundwater compliance relative to previously identified gasoline. These are all the reports in the files. Just give you an example of how we manage issues on the property. So you see something in the behavior of the spill there. Yes, things happen, but we take care of it right away. Okay.
It does. But isn't it true that one of the reports says that it was for an unknown amount and for an unknown time frame that this spill bucket issue existed?
So it says that, but you can tell that it wasn't for an unknown amount of time. We have a time frame that when DEP was there that on August 12th, everything was in order. And by August 19th, we had identified the problem and then put a plan of action to fix it. So it wasn't for an unidentified amount of time. It wasn't for and within that time frame, typically get 2 to 3 deliveries a week. So we can monitor exactly what went into the tanks and what water gone into that general area. It says we brought in, we extracted about just over 2,000 gallons of water, but they didn't test it. They didn't measure how much of that was gasoline, just the water that came out of that process. Because we keep pulling it out so we can tell if anything in the water. It's clear, they stop. So it was 2,000 gallons of gasoline, 2,000 gallons of water extracted from the ground that has some.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay. So now we'll have questions from the commission to the applicant, and I guess I'll start with that. How large is that spill bucket? What's the volume of that?
So the spill bucket is about 5 to 7 gallons. So what happens?
Yeah.
So what happens is there's a connection point to the tankers. So it's gravity fed through the tank down into the spill bucket, right? And then the spill bucket is locked in, so it can't go while dropping product. Flows out the valve at the end of the tank. They dig a little bit and then they open it up at the end. So generally, there's nothing left. But in the event that there was something left in the hole, here, so to speak, that is falling.
And I know there's automatic shut-off valves on the pumps, like you said, in case someone drives away or something like that. What are the safety precautions of the large tankers when they're refueling? If like someone were to drive over a line, went too close and drive over a line and cut a line while it was refueling the tanks, what would?
Professional drivers have protocol, right? So it's supposed to angle the truck or angle the components, things up there, not that they have to prevent something crazy, but there are protocols for that. There is automatic shut off for the tanker, like in the event that a full stroke, automatic shut off on the tanker too. So those tankers over the road don't deliver gallons of compartmentalized, which we have to deliver regular fuel. Treatment fuel and then deliver diesel fuel. So we'll compartmentalize it. About 3,000 the max in a. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
I have a question too.
We're gonna take questions from the public for public comment.
What isn't this the question section? Because I do have a question for you.
Questions of the intervener?
Oh, not a.
No. Are you the intervener?
No.
Okay, well, you have to run your questions through the commission. You can ask, when you have, when we have public comment, not yet, when we have public comment, then you can ask your questions and then the commission can relay the questions to the applicant. All right, so let's start. I think that was all I had. Mark Simpson,
Yes. What?
questions?
None at this time.
Okay. Robert?
First, I'll state that I was not present for the opening of the hearing on April 15th. I have reviewed the record documents available in SharePoint in the minutes, and I'm in the process of going through the record, the recorded record, which I will be fully listened to prior to any final votes on the application. I do have one question to start for the intervener, Attorney Roman. The presentation that you made, was that which version of the plans were your comments based on? Was the original? The April 10th revision. Great, thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
A couple of questions for the applicant. In the early presentation, I think it was by Taylor, perhaps, you can correct me if that was incorrect. When you provided the snow storage areas, what storm level calculation was that based on? Okay, it would seem that because we get a range of size of storms, I assume there was a certain calculation. It would probably be beneficial to have on the record where sort of that overflow or excess. Yeah, great, because there's some larger storms than others. And that is the end of my questions and comments for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave Fox?
A couple of questions. I'm glad to see you're putting the large curb on the south side of the truck parking there. There seems to be a gap between that and the wall. There is, could that be made continuous? Because it would seem that that would be a, you know, a pathway for salamanders to go. Okay. And my second question is about the vernal pools and your new letter, Jackson. I guess it's just more of a semantic thing now. You say to maintain a high functioning vernal pool, the best management practices indicate 25% of the VPE and 50% of the CTA should be maintained. That certainly pertains to the assessment sheet that is referenced in that document. However, in the actual best management practices that are later in the document, and it says that the tier 1 should be adhering to these. That's where it says that for the critical terrestrial habitat, maintain or restore a minimum of 75% of the zone in unfragmented forest with undisturbed ground cover. So the best management practice is to get back to 75, but you would qualify as a tier 1 with the lesser amount. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I am in agreement with you that there is an absolute, I feel, perfect world.
Yeah.
Best management practices are attacked.
Yeah, but just the way you wrote it, it makes it sound like you're misquoting the document. And I I really, your real world example of one that works is right next door. So that's somewhat compelling. Thank you. That's all I have.
Rich Berlandy?
I have no questions at this time.
Okay, Andre Simons?
Hi, yes, I only have one question. For the grading for that slope that goes towards the vernal pool, is there any way or a consideration to remediate that in any way, shape, or form? Or is it pretty much as it is and it can't really be modified any further?
Could you clarify which area you're referring to?
The area that the intendant was talking about that was sloping towards the vernal pool for the runoff. I believe it was the rear drive through or pass through.
Vernal pool one.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess I'm just trying to understand exactly what it is you're asking, because it's existing slope you're referring to, or you're talking about the area behind?
Just the overall slope, and I guess if there's a potential way to remediate, if the concern from the intendant is that the runoff is by basis of the slope going towards a vernal pool, is there any way that you could consider like a remediation or redirection or something to stop that runoff from going towards the vernal pool is essentially what I'm trying to ask.
So the runoff is running, the stormwater is going into the underground detention system, which is then outletted into the wetlands area to the southwest. The vernal pool is off more to the east of where the outlet is. It's not directly towards the.
I see. Thank you. Then I don't have any other questions.
Okay, Frank?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Alana?
No questions.
Okay, I thought of another question. The snow removal area that's next to the parking, the truck parking, and I guess the southwest corner. No, yeah, that one. Is that still gonna, I know there's a rise there and then it goes back down to the water. Is that gonna be, like, is there gonna be any risk of that snow being pushed up over and then so it rolls down the?
It shouldn't, it mounts significantly in those areas, where our elevation is. We kind of see those mounts through the distance. So everything as far as storage wise should flow back onto the development.
Okay. And then one question for Michael. I know, you talked about the class A, B, and C and other ways that you can, hopefully provide protection for that area. But what about the warehouse? Are there any requirements on the warehouse? Because that's what, in regards to, I know you could set up rules to say we're not going to have no storage, no hazardous material storage, but how do we know that, you have people that follow the rules, and you have people that don't follow the rules?
Sure, I'd be willing to get to that point, to put a condition on the fact that we don't have to place so there's having I will own that facility and lease it out. So I can put that into my lease as well, say they don't have. I will look for that.
Okay. All right, that's all I have. So if we're done, did anybody have any questions for the intervener? Oh, okay. Public comment. You miss and then you. All right. We'll take her first because she did get up. So we'll give your name and address for the record, please?
I'm actually the expert for the intervener, and I've got, I have a number of things to go. I wrote the report that the intervener submitted. So that's why I was thinking I ought to be presenting earlier. Or should I just
Bruce.
praise everything in terms of questions?
I'll
I can
leave
do that
to the
too.
discussion between the applicant and the intervener. If you guys would want to hear it now, or do you want to push this off to the next hearing?
No, I definitely want to say, to make my points
Understood, but
now.
this is for the intervener and the applicant to determine whether they, how they'd like to proceed.
All right.
Okay.
All right, public comment, we'll count it as public comment. Your name and address for the record?
Sigrid Gadwa. I'm the principal of Carrier Ecological Services, and I'm out of Cheshire, 183 Guinevere Ridge. My CV is at the back of my report. I've got a UConn in in ecology and a bachelor's in biology from Brown, and I've got about 30 years experience as a wetland scientist. I'm a registered soil scientist as well. And
This information you're gonna provide, did the intervener provide that to the town?
This is her report. This is her report that.
My report was submitted on Monday. So first first, because we were just talking about vernal pools, I'm going to ask a few questions related to that. The applicants ecologists had good plant lists for both wetlands, and there were a lot of plants that were also in the small northern wetlands, which is one of the reasons that my report stated that though they're small in extent, qualitatively they're very similar to the big wetlands, and they are not degraded, very low functioning. They're just small, good functioning wetlands, and invasives are very sparse within them. Actually, the plant list included an endangered species, which is the lizard's tail. And I don't know whether the ecologist was aware that lizard's tail is endangered. It's very distinctive looking, heart-shaped leaves and long spiky flowers. But it's much more of a southern and Midwestern, southern Midwestern species. It's extremely rare in Connecticut. So that I wondered, what was were you the one who was out there, or was? Oh, so that.
Can you ask your question through the
chair? So there needs to be a report made to the Department of Environmental Protection on that, and GPS and the number of plants and the condition of the occurrence, and that it is an emergent wetland plant. So it's also very sensitive to dewatering, to lower water inputs. And one of Stephanie's questions had to do with the loss of all of the groundwater that infiltrates into the couple of acres of slope to the, and I have here that are upslope into the north and northeast of the vernal pool wetland, the report emphasized the fact that these happen to be plants with a densic horizon with a hard pan, but basically 20 to 40 inches below the surface. And that means that rainfall doesn't go down to a deep water table. It goes down just to 20 to 40 inches, either there's a little variation in the depth. And then it moves laterally downslope into the vernal pool. That's why when you have these densic horizons, we have these hard pans, you always have nice wetlands at the base of the hill. And a lot of the discharge is actually not visible. It's happening underground. You don't necessarily have an active visible seep that has skunk cabbage on it. on the slope but it's just the lower, there's a moving water table down the hill into the wetland. And when the trees are not transpiring in the winter, in the early spring, and in the fall, there's a lot of water that quantitatively that goes into the wetland. And then the water level there's much less water except during major storm events during the summertime, because when the trees are transpiring, but there is an accumulation not just at the surface but in the subsoil under the vernal pool and next to the vernal pool. So we're really concerned about the loss of the conversion to impervious surface of this watershed, the northern and the northeastern watershed of the vernal pools. And also, by the same token, half the land slopes down to the vernal pool and half of it slopes to the little wetlands. And the most of the eastern one will be preserved now, but the watershed of the northwestern wetland is going to be lost, is converted to impervious surface as well. They will be they'll get some surface runoff from Pieneman Road, but that's not a steady supply. It doesn't have, and it qualitatively there are minerals and dissolved organic matter. There's a lot of dissolved beneficial material for plant growth. It's in this groundwater that moves down slope that is not in road runoff. And it's also not in even cleaned pavement runoff that's gone through a filtering system. So that and I want to hand out just a little, 2 handouts on this matter.
We can share if you don't have.
This has it's just a photocopy of the existing conditions map in the plans, and it shows the watershed of the Western Wetland and part of the watershed of the Vernal.
Can you save a copy for the applicant?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll leave a copy again. No, this is a handout that I just did this morning. I felt like I didn't. It's by far the most important point. No, I don't have it. But I have one of your copies. I'll give it back to you.
There you go.
Okay.
We'll share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the hydrologic, the average hydrologic impact.
You gotta use a microphone.
Okay. So this is an issue for spotted salamanders in particular, and the endangered lizard's tail. One of the things that you need to realize is that, and contrary to what it says in the report, a salamander vernal pool needs to have water all through July and often into August for them to finish their development, to metamorphose, and especially this year when we had such a cold spring and none of the salamander egg masses anywhere that I've talked to various people, none of them have hatched yet. So that means that the salamanders aren't going to be ready, have their legs and be ready to go out into the terrestrial habitat until it maybe late August, early September. So that's an issue. And I don't think that you guys realize that the entire area to the north of the vernal pools most of it is well-drained Weathersfield soils, not pretty moist Ludlow or seasonally saturated wetlands. That's the preferred terrestrial upland habitat for salamanders. They like to burrow into dry, well-drained soil. And much more of the uplands to the south are the moister type. The grading and the development process is going to kill all of the salamanders that are underground in the terrestrial habitat. They only leave for a couple of weeks to go in the spring to lay their eggs, and they go back to where they were. they always go back to the same place they came from. So you're going to be losing half, perhaps, or a third, or whatever. And at any rate, all the spotted salamanders that are living to the north, because the buffer, the wetland buffer is only 20 feet to the retaining wall. I don't know if you've seen that. It's extremely small, so that the terrestrial habitat to the north of more than 20 feet from the wetland is going to be converted to commercial land use. So, and I also wanted, they didn't find wood frogs, which is not at all surprising, because wood frogs lay their egg masses in one concentrated raft. They don't spread them all over the place like a salamander suit. And wood frogs, and then they hatch, and they, for a couple of weeks, they hang around their raft. They all stay all in one place. And in a complex and irregular vernal pool like the northern one, with all these hummocks and hollows and a lot of shrub vegetation on the hummocks, it's extremely easy to overlook an area that has a lot of tiny tadpoles in it, like a 3 square meter area or 5 square meter area. So I've actually, the same thing has happened to me. I've been a little late, and I've overlooked the wood frogs, and then I come back later and I see the wood frog tadpoles, because they do spread out later on to the, except in this case, there seem to be multiple smaller pools, and it will dry out in between them. So you have an interesting mosaic of saturated wetland and actual flooded wetland. So I'm going to say the question is how I wish you will need to. Would you like me to put together a fact sheet on the lizard's tail, the Sororus carinus, and its habitat needs, and or should they do it, and should go out and get the data, fill out the DEP form? Yeah.
Do we, did you mention in your petition, did you mention lizard's tail planting?
We only found about it yesterday, because it was in the latest vernal pool report.
Yeah.
It's not in my report.
Well, does it fall under the? Does it fall under the
intervener rules?
Exactly. That's what I was getting at. There is an item for that. There's some. So that's item number. Written wetlands deterioration, water quality, critical terrestrial habitat impacts, long-term effects and significant adverse impacts, and then feasible alternatives that exist. So unless it falls under impacts to the water, wetlands deterioration, so.
Well, the vegetative cover is part of the physical habitat in a wetland. So if you, and these are important or emergent, robust emergent plants, so their loss would be considered a.
This lizard's tail, it's not native to this area?
It is native, but it's very, very rare.
Oh.
It's on the state, the NDDB list.
Okay.
Of the DEP.
All right.
Okay. Now, we emphasize that because they're doing what they're supposed to do, they're not infiltrating from the hot spots. They are directing the water via surface conveyance down towards Batterson Pond. And there will be some treatment and infiltration en route to Batterson Pond along the drainage ways, certainly. But the thing about hotspots is it's a quantitative issue. There's so many molecules of heavy metals and different kinds of hydrocarbons and PAHs that the sorption sites in the soils get saturated, and then it's just basic chemistry. If all the sites are already occupied, the here's a site, negatively charged site. Here's a positively charged metal ion atom, and that's on that one. And then there's much less effective filtration by stream side soils or any soils under a storage underground stormwater storage facility. So I wanted to say that the diesel facility is of concern, not so much because of risks of spills. And I think the procedures that Noble is using really are very impressive, but what they can't control is the residues of diesel exhaust that settle on the pavement, and also the diesel exhaust that goes into the air and then goes in. It is filtered by the trees, by the plants, but we're losing a substantial amount of really tall, dense, highly effective air pollution filter along I-84 and along Pheneman Road by converting it to this dense commercial land use. And the number of bays around the warehouse, and the fact that there are also diesel truck bays at the fueling sessions indicates that there is going to be considerable diesel truck traffic, and that means there's going to be until maybe 20 years from now, they won't use diesel anymore, but they do now. And diesel has a good affinity for particulate matter. It actually is well filtered when it goes through soil, but it also attaches to small organic particles, small particles, and it is in suspended sediment, very small clay size, colloidal size, suspended sediment, colloidal organic matter. It washes downstream and it's going to get into Patterson Pond. So I'm really worried about about the polyaromatic hydrocarbons getting into Patterson Pond, and they are highly carcinogenic and highly teratogenic for wildlife and fish, as well as for humans, just at the parts per billion level. I mean, metal, copper and zinc are they're considered toxic metals, but PAHs are an order of magnitude more toxic. So
wrap it up here.
I'm just trying to see if there are any issues that
Can I ask you a quick question though? Did you take photos of this lizard's tail?
I didn't trespass. I just did a perimeter survey when I went out there. I took pictures of from the Pheneman Road of the northwestern wetland and the southern wetland, but I the right of way in the ditch, but I didn't get. I didn't see the vernal pool because I haven't trespassed. I'd love to. I've never seen one in my life. I've seen a couple pictures that friends took, but I've never seen an actual lizard tail.
Okay.
So I think that's all. And please do take a look at the handouts that I gave you, because they show this densic horizon, this hard pan, which makes the watershed protection, buffer protection, much more important than if you have pervious soils upgrading of a wetland.
Can I have my copy back, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's continue the public comment. Ma'am.
Good evening. What's the protocol? I have like a couple hours. Is that right?
No.
Just kidding.
No.
Like 3 minutes or something.
Just your name and address first.
Okay.
Please.
Leslie Hammond, 1 Linden Place in Hartford. Okay, just like 3 minutes. How does it work? Something like that? Something. Okay. So I have 2 hats on tonight. I'm a realtor and I sold a house on Slater Road that, if you can look at those beautiful trees right there on Slater Road. And when I saw the drawing that the driveway is going to be almost across my client's house, but certainly other people that live on Slater Road, all New Britain residents. I know they're all going to freak out. So I had no idea that the entrance was going to be there. I presume trucks or whatever is going in there. I know they did have an ice cream social for people. My client missed that. So I don't know what kind of education those residents have gotten, but I hope they know what's going on. My other hat is Batterson Park Pond. I almost want to cry when I think about this. No offense to Noble, great gas prices. I like you guys. But I have been at this for 8, 9 years. My ex-husband was Ned Cole. He went after the beaches and, you know, I like have it in my blood because I lived with him for 20 years. So we have been at this for a long time. Hartford resident, you know, the pond was closed because Hartford didn't have the money. I always felt bad for Farmington. You guys were kind of taking care of it. There'd be a fire, your fire trucks were there. I've talked to Rose Ponte many times about it. I know that the city of Hartford pension would love to sell this to anybody. They don't care who, just sell it because they've been trying to since 2017 or 18. And they need that for their pension fund. I get that. I get Farmington would like the taxes. I get that. But please, please, please find something else for this property. As it is, we did a study with Deep and found out that the pond's not swimmable because of 84 runoff and other things. But we have high hopes it's going to be swimmable again. I mean, we desperately need that for the Farmington, New Britain, Hartford people. It's so hard, as you all might know. We have some state parks, but generally you can't go to ponds unless you are part of that town or you live on the shoreline and you have private property. And we really need more recreation for people. It is going to open with riverfront recapture, thankfully, as walking trails, possibly some boating. Deep said it was okay for fishing, but not for swimming. Go figure. But we hope that the pond is going to get better for swimming. But certainly with this risk of any kind of runoff, I just can't even imagine. And it sounds like this company has done a lot of work to try to make sure that doesn't happen. But come on, we all know there's a good chance that something's going to happen to that pond. I feel that way anyway. I did talk to Rose back in 2018, and she said at that time, the Conservation and Development Plan had hoped for bioscience. She had hoped for medical office buildings. The town, it seemed, never really envisioned residential property because that would put pressure on your schools and so forth. But that was the goal. So I don't know, maybe other people haven't. This is what's in front of you, and I get that. But we have been working forever to try to get this pond and this park working again. Thankfully, Matt Ritter of the state got us $10 million, and Farmington, New Britain, and Hartford came together. I mean, that was amazing. If you've been at that meeting, you would have loved to have seen that. But because it affects us all, it's your land, we own it. New Britain's right on the side. So $10 million has been spent by the state to get the park up and running. So there's the Friends of Batterson Pond at Facebook. You all are welcome to join us to see what people are saying, but we're very passionate, you know, to make this a recreation place. And we're very super concerned, aside from the plants and the animals, all the work that Ms. Roman and the other presenter did. We're very appreciative of that. So thank you for your time.
That project did come before this commission, so we're
Who did?
familiar with the project.
Pardon me?
That project that you're talking about where they're rebuilding the trailways.
Oh, okay. To get the okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
familiar with it.
Good. All right. I'm glad they got approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Miss?
Hello, my name is Angela Presh. I live at 12 Bonnie Drive in Farmington. I live in the Farmington Estates neighborhood, which is on the other side of the highway, right off of Finneman Road. This property is part of Batterson Park. The wetlands there flow into the park. Our neighborhood has wetlands too that are also associated with those wetlands, but 84 cut through it. So we might not be physically, but underneath the ground, we are interacting with them. I'd ask you guys not to approve this. We do know accidents happen, and once spills occur, it's very hard to remediate and come back from. All of us really care about our wetlands in our area, and also Batterson Park. Many of us have many good memories from before when it was open, and now we're looking forward to it in the future. I know I like to fish there on a regular basis. I've met a lot of people, not only from Farmington, but also from New Britain. I would hate to see those fish floating up and dying because of chemical contaminations. I would ask you guys to consider voting against this. I know that you guys often work hand in hand with businesses to approve things on wetlands. Farmington doesn't have a lot of open space. We don't have a lot of wetlands, and it seems like a lot in this community has been built on wetlands in the last 5 years. We have a lot of apartment buildings that have been approved on wetlands. We have Maria Road development that was approved on wetlands. We have on the intersection of Route 4 and South Road, apartments approved on wetlands. We ask, can we please stop building on our wetlands? We need that. The environment needs that. And so do all the animals, insects, and plants in our community. They need that wetlands. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public?
Hello, my name is Denise Ortiz. I am on Country Club Road in New Britain. I am a neighbor. I literally just heard about this probably within the past 36 hours. I am your neighbor. I live right up the street from Noble gas station. It's beautiful, great job. However, there has been no neighborhood conversation that I have heard of or seen. I implore you to please not approve this for obvious reasons that friends and neighbors have said, but also these are wetlands and neighboring towns. It's not just Farmington, it's New Britain, that you're right on top of a New Britain line. New Britain, Hartford, and Farmington have worked together for years to try to reestablish the pond as a recreational place for families. And this will basically put that at risk. There are bald eagle nests there. There are bears and deer and crane. And these aren't scientific things, right? But I believe with more time, and this would, I think, needs to be presented to the state's submitted scoping notice because of what I've heard here tonight, and I think Deep needs to be involved here because this is not just a small, let's put a small country store on the corner. Talking about warehouses, diesel all over the place. It's not just tanks being buried underground, but the traffic and the trucks and the runoff from all of that and all the salts that will also be used on additional parking lots. And it's not just salt, right? You don't just put a little salt and dirt on a parking lot. There's tons of chemicals that will run off into Batterson Pond. I live at the bottom, so I'm not sure what assessment has been done with the storm water runoff, but we have a big pipe that flows behind our house that comes from up there. I don't want any of that stuff in my backyard. And so I do also have a question along with my plea is what effort has been made to work with neighboring New Britain on how it'll affect us and our neighborhood and increasing the traffic and the busyness there. What effort has been made by this company And I asked you because
All
I
right.
was told I have to ask the board.
Okay.
Has any effort been made?
We'll ask the applicant. But it's, there's not really a requirement that we work with New Britain on each individual applicants. There's not a requirement that New Britain works with us on their applicants. But I understand that there's the runoff directly goes into Batterson Park Pond, and I understand well. I used to go to Batterson Park Pond. I grew up in Newington, and I swam in Batterson Park Pond when I was a kid, rode my bike there. So I understand that very well.
I have no nostalgia with
On that issue, pursuant to the statutory requirement, the town staff notified the New Britain Planning and Zoning.
Yes.
Yep, there has been interagency.
there has been interagency coordination. No, and I appreciate that. I don't even come from a place of nostalgia. I've been there for 20 years. I come from it as a place of being a good neighbor and doing the right thing in a place that is already losing green space. To take that away from us and replace it with a diesel based place and warehouse would just be maybe a little environmentally and politically tone deaf. That is all.
Thank you. Sir.
Yes, hi, my name's J.R. Cody. I live at 7 Copper Beach Lane in Farmington. I'm in support of the project. I lived here my whole life in town. My wife and I bought a home there 20 years ago. My daughters, I've watched them grow up. They go to the high school right now. I've seen the town evolve from where Metro Realty built all their office buildings, and the latest craze in town seems to be apartments everywhere. But this parcel, it's on the edge of town, and I understand it abuts New Britain, and I appreciate, the New Britain neighbors, and I don't know what they do when they build something and it's on our border or the reverse, but I know Noble gas stations, they do a great job. They're very clean. Something's going to get developed on this parcel. It seems like it's on an off ramp for an exit ramp. And it seems like an appropriate site for this sort of use. And if this doesn't happen here, I don't know what other type of use could happen on the property, but it just seems to be a logical spot for this sort of for this use. And I think it also brings a different type of development into town. It's not another apartment building or another retail building. It's a different it's an animal of a different sort. And I think it could also the people that visit it might use some of the hotels and could drum up some additional business for town. So I'm in support of it. And I know that's not what you've heard here tonight, but I just wanted to say that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here who wants to speak?
Oh, all right. And now I've got some online. Do we go through the online list?
Excuse me?
We've got online. Don't tell me to go through those.
Oh, yes. Is there anybody online who would like to speak on this?
I got a couple of hands raised. I have a Jeff. Just provide us your name and your address, Jeff. Jeff, you're muted.
Yep, Jeff Shamus. I'm with Solely Engineering. Yep, but I have nothing more.
Oh, you had your hand raised. Okay.
No, oh, I did. Sorry about that. I'm not sure.
All right. Francesca, I'll allow you to talk. You have to unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me all right?
Yep, just give us your name and your address, please.
Got it. Hi, my name is Francesca Caruso. I'm a resident at 6 Jeffrey Drive in Farmington, Connecticut, and I'm here to express my opposition to the application submitted by Noble Energy Real Estate And I have a few points to make, just a few things that I've written down based on reading through the materials, and also just based on the few things that were said today, including some of the words from council, some of the engineers, as well as Mr. Michael Frisbee himself. So just a few comments on things that were said so far. I would first like to say that I'm not too impressed in general, just to start out with some of the tone that I think Mr. Frisbee, his counsel, and then the engineering support have taken so far. I'd like to start with, I believe his name is Reeves. Forgive me if that's incorrect, but I didn't appreciate that part of the start of his statement was seemingly to discredit Attorney Roman by saying that, she's using layman's terms to describe things and that she's not an expert, can't give an expert testimony, where I don't believe she made any sort of allusion that she was an expert. So I'd like to start out with that, as well as in addition to point out that I keep hearing a lot between Reeves and then the experts as well that there's no adverse effects. And I would like to start by saying that I think to use an absolute in a scenario where this isn't a small scale project and there is potential for a lot of impact. So to say that there's no adverse effects, I think is a little bit negligent to what potential effects may be as well. I think a little bit of skepticism should be exercised here.
All right. Excuse me, I'm going to interrupt you. Just please comment on the information and the project, but not, we don't need you to comment on the presentations by any of the parties, please.
Got it. Apologies. I will keep it to the original notes that I brought up. Sorry about that. So I guess one of the few things that I wanted to bring up instead was that there was talk about how sorry, give me 1 second. I'm just
take your time.
Reframing. But one of the things that I wanted to bring up was that there were a few mentions that, some of the water is already polluted. And so that, there's already some impact that has been there as well. And I think one of the things that I would kind of like to bring up as like a comment and this could, that I'd like to bring up as a comment is that throughout this entire presentation, I haven't heard any sort of reasonable alternatives to the use of this land. And while we're looking at the wetlands, like the impact of this project to the wetlands, like this is a large commercial project that out of everything, diesel operations are one of the most environmentally intensive commercial uses possible near the wetlands. And, someone else had brought up earlier, I think it was the gentleman who just spoke, saying, I'm not sure what else they would use on this land, but the fact of the matter is, like, there are possible alternatives. And I understand that from Mr. Michael Frisbee, that diesel and fuel is his business. And I would just like to say that I haven't heard of any sort of alternative uses for the land that might have a lesser impact than having, a diesel in place there as well. And I'd like to bring up also just some of the long-term enforcement and maintenance concerns. And I know we heard from Mr. Frisbee about compliance and how they have people coming in, checking in for training, but and this is a rhetorical question, but just in the cases of even the town, like, is there support from the town or is there an independent review to just enforce that sort of maintenance concerns or sort of compliance concerns over the decades, and whether or not there's permanent protection that realistically can be guaranteed? And to kind of go with that point, I know that, solely engineering as well as just in general throughout these conversations, they had brought up different wetlands projects that they had done in conjunction with other buildings and other similar structures that have been done as well. And I think it's great that they, have put forth some conservation efforts and, they mentioned that they won an award for it. But unless that wetland conservation effort is a condition legally stated, agreed, and signed upon to building this sort of establishment, I don't really think it's relevant to be brought into the conversation past efforts unless that's a guaranteed for this land, because we're talking about this land, this impact, and the impact to the surrounding areas. So that was just something I'd like to know. I do think it's great, and I'm not trying to discredit the effort made, for previous buildings, but I find it hard that if that's one of the major selling points, that they're going to go through all these conservation efforts at also the expense of adding in this, again, high fuel, like very much like pollutant heavy environment. I think unless that's established, then I don't really think that mitigates some of the other environmental effects as well. And even within some of the reports and from the meeting minutes from March 18th, like there's already like acknowledgement that the wetlands, like they already received significant stormwater runoff, as well as that there's a lot of that there's already issues with the runoff and everything else too. And I don't think that the fact that there's already pollutants from the other residential areas, or that it's already like there's already this polluted runoff, I don't think that should, and like that, I think that more so should justify stronger protections for those wetlands rather than additional intensive development and fueling operations. It's not like this parcel of land, which could be developed into something. It's not like it's being developed into, maybe an extension of the gas station, which would still be a concern since we're talking about the wetlands, but it's a large scale diesel fuel operation that I just think more consideration would be warranted for this type of commercial project rather than something that's potentially lower impact as well. And I know I've been speaking for a while, so I'll try and, wrap the rest up, briefly, but, I'd also just, and again, I'm not an engineer. I'm not an expert on environmental matters, but I think also, and I haven't really heard much about, and I didn't see in the reports, so correct me if I'm wrong, but noise pollution, on how that might affect the habitat surrounding it, or, increasing climate change, or the fact that a lot of times like drainage reports or engineering reports are based on historical rainfall amounts within the state. But, over the past however many years, we've seen increased rainfall in the state of Connecticut. And so part of me is just wondering if those calculations and those drainage reports are still going to be adequate 10 years from now when the climate change and increasing rain amounts weren't factored into that as well. But at the very end of the day, I know another comment was brought up that, this could be good revenue for the town and that there are things that could go there. But I just want to point out, and I just asked this to the commission, and again, I apologize for my tone in the beginning, but I asked the decision or the commission to really focus on the fact that any sort of economic benefit should not outweigh the environmental protection. And, I think it's the responsibility of the commission to protect the environment. That's where, if it's the town of Farmington, I feel like that's where the responsibility lies, and that should outweigh any sort of economic benefit for this area as well. So for these reasons, I respectfully urge the commission to deny this application, or, that's it. Sorry, that was a not great closing sentence, but I respectfully urge the commission to deny this application, and to really consider the long-standing impacts of this sort of development in this area. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there was a little miscommunication. Jeff Seamus, that wasn't you that raised your hand. Okay, there's a Jeff. I'm gonna your talk, Jeff. Can you give us your name and your address?
I'm Attorney Jeffrey Dressler. My office address is 84 Cedar Street, Harvard, Connecticut. My day job is law, but for the past 35 years, I have been a community partner of the schools in Connecticut, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and Jamaica. I've sponsored a number of schools in New Britain, and I'd just like to address the potential effect of this proposed development on the student safety. Now, within a half a mile of this school, you have of this development, you have 6 schools. You have Chamberlain, De Loreto, Pulaski, Craig Academy of Science and Innovation, E.G. Goodwin Technical High School, Gaffney Elementary, Jefferson Elementary, and you have at least 4 of these that are on Slater Road. So this intersection is essentially in the middle of a major school corridor along Slater Road and Farmington Avenue. So you have preschool, kindergarten, elementary, middle, and high school. So you have a total student population of approximately 3,500 kids. And you got a very dense student cluster for within a half a mile of this development. So many take the school buses, as New Britain provides widespread busing due to magnet school attendance zones. So you have the magnet schools, you have, which are high bus usage, moderate bus usage for a middle school. In the elementary schools, you have lower bus usage, but you have more kids that are walking, and you have more parents that are dropping off their kids. So if we do a blended estimate, you got about 55 to 65% of the kids that bust. You got about, so you're talking about 2,000. You got about 1,500 that are walking. That's aside from the parents that are dropping off their kids. So when you have parents dropping off the kids, you have U-turns, you have a lot of congestion, and you have peak hours in the morning and in the afternoon. And then you have after-school programs, so which extends it. So you have in the morning like 7:30 to 9, and in the afternoon you're going to have like 2:45 to 3:45 to 4 o'clock. And then you have to consider the after-school programs that you have parent pickup and pedestrian traffic. So it becomes intense during certain periods of the day. So you have about 20, 30 buses that are hitting that intersection. And you're going to have a lot of traffic that are going to try to avoid that and go to the neighborhoods, which put our kids at risk. Now, in the morning, if there's any delay, we're going to interfere with the instructional time. And you'll interfere also with parents that have to get to work on time. You're going to have people that are in a hurry, and it just puts a lot of kids at risk. So, and if we're talking about being good neighbors, I don't think this is a place to do it when you have within a half an hour, half a mile, 6 schools. So, I mean, you're talking about a bus every couple minutes. You have 15 to 25 students that are going to use the crossings every minute. I would
wrap
just
it up.
say that this is not an ordinary roadway intersection. Your National Highway Traffic and Safety specifically identifies children as vulnerable around school bus loading areas and travel paths. I don't feel that this is the perfect location for this project, and I would ask the commission to deny the proposal.
Thank you.
I've got an attorney, Neil Connors.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Attorney Neil Connors. I live on Batterson Drive in New Britain. My office is at 325 Main Street in Farmington. Thank you very much to everyone tonight. And I thought there's a lot of valuable information provided. I just had 2 small points to add since so many have been made before. Just to piggyback off of fellow counsel who spoke before me, in addition to the schools coming through, there are an increased number of summer activities. Camp Current, with the expansion, with the restoration of Batterson Park, has planned or has worked towards increasing their camper capacity. So there will be kids crossing the street there on Fieneman Road by or Batterson Park Road.
This is a wetlands meeting. This isn't a planning and a zoning meeting. This will be addressed during the planning zoning meetings. All right.
Thank you. Then my only remaining point would be that, the proposal just approved by this commission for the trails and recreational area, at Batterson Park itself is at seemingly cross purposes with this application. Again, good application. And I do think Mike Noble's done a great job at the corner there at the gas station. But if you have just previously approved a what it amounts to a restoration of a public park across the street, the discharge from the site to me seems to be at cross purposes with that approval that was just made. And I would ask the commission to reject the proposal and allow the redevelopment of Batterson across the street to proceed and find a use more consistent with that project. And thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got one more. I got a Liz Bennett. If you could give us your name and your address.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
we
thank
can.
you. This is Liz Bennett. I live at 46 Mountain Road in Farmington. I grew up in New Britain, went to all New Britain public schools, and I appreciate all of the comments shared this evening. And I just want to have a very quick comment. I would wonder if the applicants would consider an area down the road on Finneman into Farmington at the corner of Route 6 for their project. It's a former gas station site, wasted land, already polluted. I feel that the area is just too high risk, too valuable. I would like to suggest they leave the forest and the wetlands alone. Their project is just reeks of being a poor neighbor, and I would encourage the commission to deny that application. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That is everybody online. If anybody else online who hasn't spoken, you can please raise their hand using the Zoom function and we'll call on you. Going once. Going twice. All right, Chair, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Thank everybody for their comments. So our next step is we now have additional materials that are going to want to be provided at next meeting. Bruce, do we need to agree to an extension at this point?
Based on my count, there should be an extension granted because I think we fall 1 day short from the next meeting, based on my count.
We'll grant an extension until the meeting
Okay.
Shannon and I were going back and forth if you count the day of the mayor hearing, but I want to let's all be safe about it, you know?
Okay, thank you for your cooperation. And great schedule.
So that, I guess the only thing I have left is just making sure, I think the applicant has stated they have some material that they still want to present next meeting. Is the intervener done or are they going to bring some more? You'll have a repeatable. Will there be a presentation as well? Okay, there will be a presentation. All right. So maybe I'll get together. Let's make sure we're on the same page as to the schedule. And again, material will be presented. When can we get that material? Because I think both parties want to be able to have adequate time to review that material.
All right, so we'll make chair entertain a motion to continue the application to the May 20th meeting.
Yeah, well, hold on. I just want to finish. I just want to wrap this up first. I just want to get together, make sure we're getting a date together on when this material needs to be there. So, okay. Agreed. No, agreed. Understood. And it is. And I understand, but I want to make sure that both. What, huh? I couldn't hear you.
We'll do our best to get it in as soon as possible. If we need another extension,
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure if you're submitting information, they're submitting information, that we get it together so that both parties have it hopefully before the meeting. I can't hear you. That's up to you guys. If you guys want to do it on your own and work it out, I just want to make sure both parties as well as us has this information in advance is all. Okay. So. Council, is that agreeable? She said she's asking if that's. No, she's asking if she wants to coordinate with her, is what I'm getting. All right. Okay. Continue to the 20th.
If we had their information before yesterday, we might have been able to
Okay. Well, both parties can work with Bruce and getting the information as early as possible. We appreciate it. Okay, so we'll have a motion to continue the intervener petition. Can I
So
get that
moved.
motion?
Continue the public hearing.
Well-
Just following our outline that we agreed to. Motion to.
Yeah.
Continue the intervenor application, motion to continue, the applicant's application.
That's next.
Or do you just want to?
Yeah, no, sorry, I'm talking, the petition comes first, make a motion to continue it, then we're gonna make a motion to continue the hearing. So both at the same time. Separate. I'm just
Separate.
following orders here, is that how we want to keep this going.
Okay.
So.
Chair will entertain a motion to continue the intervenor petition.
So moved.
And a second,
Second.
Who was that? Oh, Ross.
Frank. Okay, a motion been made and seconded to continue the intervenor petition. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstain, motion passes. Now, I will entertain a motion to continue the application of the applicant.
Can't we say? Yeah, public hearing.
Yeah,
exactly. Yep,
continue the
that's what we're
public hearing. I don't know, I'm just following my guideline here.
Yep, understood.
Okay, can I get a motion to continue the public hearing?
So moved.
All right, and a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Now, do you, planners report? Bruce, do we need to do that or?
The only thing I have is 114 West Avon, just a quick update, just that we are working with them and they should have a presentation for the next meeting. And the cease and desist for 24 Summersby is none. That's be off.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so I need a motion to approve the minutes of April 15th of the Inland Wetlands Commission.
So moved. Second.
All right, we have a motion made and second to approve the minutes of April 15th. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes.
I'd make a, I make a suggestion if anybody wants it, it's 10 o'clock. I'm not sure if you guys want to have a 5-minute recess, adjourn and take a 5-minute recess. That's up to you guys. It's up to you guys.
I'll take
If
3
everyone's
minutes.
gotta stretch their legs. It's been a little long, so. So I don't have a, you gotta make a motion to adjourn. Gotta make the motion to adjourn and take a 5-minute recess.
Or adjourn, take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second?
Dave will second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll start the Conservation Commission meeting in 5 minutes. All right, so we'll call the Conservation Commission to order at 10:07. So with Chair, entertain a motion to accept the intervenor position. This is not the Conservation Commission is not a public hearing.
No, this is because the petition included both the inland wetlands as well as the conservation commission. That's why. It's gotta be
Okay,
for both.
so we need a motion to accept the intervenor petition.
So moved.
Please. And a second?
Second.
All right. Motion's been made and seconded to accept the intervenor position. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. All right, so technically we have to enter all the reports and testimony from the Inland Wetland Commission of 4:15 and 5:6 into the record for the Conservation Commission meeting. The applicant can provide any additional information, if any, to the Conservation Commission. Okay,
I'd like to get a vote on the second one, if you don't mind,
all right.
just so.
The intervenor, vote on what?
Just accepting, just to enter in all the reports.
Oh, and the second one, okay. Chair will entertain a motion to enter all the reports and testimony from the Inland Wetland Commission meetings of 4/5, 5/6, and the record of for the Conservation Commission. meeting. Please, a motion
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to enter all the reports and testimony. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. All right, the applicant has no additional information. The intervener have any additional information? Okay. Intervener applicant cross-exam. Do you have any questions for the applicant, to the intervener? Any additional questions? We just have to redo everything we did in the last meeting because they're two separate commissions. All right. Are there any additional questions to the intervener from the commission? Are there any additional commission questions to the applicant? All right, closing remarks from the intervener? Go to the microphone, please.
The only thing I'd like to say in closing for this particular commission is that under Connecticut General Statute 7-131A, this commission is also authorized to set additional conditions on the other agencies, including the Wetlands Commission. I know one of the agenda items today is to continue, and I know part of that is potentially to consider conditions, and one of which is you can provide recommendations on municipality or on agencies on proposed land use changes. I strongly urge the Conservation Commission to recommend to the Wetlands Commission not to convert this zone from a residential zone to a business or commercial or industrial zone, whatever proposal they're proposing. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any closing remarks from the applicant? Okay. Are there any, we know that there are additional materials required and will be presented at the May 20th meeting. Right, Bruce?
Say it again. Okay, I couldn't hear you.
It says confirm whether any additional material is required or will be presented and agreed to on a schedule to when the material needs to be provided. We already
Same thing. Yeah,
said they're
they
going
don't
to
have any-
provide additional information at May 20th.
Just giving them,
That's taken care of.
just giving everyone one last chance just to make sure.
Okay.
Mhm.
Commission to make findings on the intervener petition.
Mhm.
What would our findings be if we just
Exactly the same thing. Just as I was saying in the agenda review, it's the same thing. As you have to look at that agenda, you have to look at that petition and rule on that position as the Conservation Commission. All right, as it relates to the Conservation Commission. All right, and the commission's job is to forward, not to vote on it. You're not approving the project. You're voting on this.
All right.
You're voting to make recommendations to the Inland Wetlands Commission.
So I'm looking for a motion to not approve the petition, but to refer the petition to the Inland Wetlands Commission, for the Conservation Commission to refer the petition to the Inland Wetlands Commission.
No,
No.
you're just ruling on the petition saying either one of two things. Either you're in favor of the petition, and as such, you're making the following conditions, right? And as I said in the agenda review, you could make conditions to the Inland Wetlands Commission for items such as best management practices, things that you guys normally do as a wetlands commission when you go into best management practices in terms of pest management, stormwater conditions, things like that, as well as you have the conservation easements. We have the conservation easement that they're proposing on the property as well. There's all those encroachments on there. I've got that I have that listed in my report or in the comments. How do we deal with the encroachments? Do you want them done by staff? Do you want, it could be a simple thing where the encroachments need to be addressed and or the conservation easement revised to take them out of the conservation easement. So there's a various few ways you can go with this.
Okay, I'm not ready to approve this, the petition of the intervener. Why? I mean, if we're waiting for additional information from
You have to separate yourself from the Inland Wetlands Commission, that you are not the Inland Wetlands Commission right now. You are the
I
Conservation.
understand that.
All right, so
But
you
you're
need
asking me
to,
to rule on the same material.
yeah, but you're not, it's not the same material. It's as it relates to the Conservation Commission only. You're going to be ruling on this in terms of the wetlands when it gets to that point. But you can't do anything with the wetlands until you get a referral from the Conservation Commission.
That's what I said. I want to, as the Conservation Commission, I would like to refer the petition of the intervener to the Inland Wetlands Commission.
Oh, I thought you meant, all right, as a positive referral, or you got to make it a positive referral or a negative referral or something. You've got to refer something to them.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a procedural question of our staff? Can the recommendation from the Conservation Commission to the Inland Wetland Commission be made after the close of the public hearing, or does it have to be done?
No, it's got to be done before. It has to be done before, or so if we don't do anything now, all you're doing is you're kicking this public hearing down to two more meetings.
Yeah.
Now, because this has to be entered in as part of the record.
Okay. Chair will entertain. Well, let me poll our commission. I'll start with our deep guys. Robert, are you in favor of this, a positive recommendation of the intervener?
I think the finding that I'm comfortable with is that the intervener's petition has merit in basis for further consideration in the record in what I mean, that's up. I can't craft, it's maybe the lateness of the hour, but I can't craft the, the conditions that we would want to make to the wetland. I mean, we've found that the petition satisfies the requirements. It's a valid petition, but from a, what recommendations as a Conservation Commission member I want to make to the Inland Wetland Commission. I'm just not quite ready to formulate those thoughts.
Does it make benefit to, does it make a sense to poll the commissioners and see what kind of comments they would be willing to include, and then maybe start with that?
Well, that's what we're doing. That's Dave, what is your feeling?
I wish I knew what we were doing. You had mentioned, Bruce, something about the encroachments. At least one thing we could focus on.
Yep.
So if the encroachments are now going to be part of the conservation easement, does that mean that we have to deal with those encroachments?
Well, you don't. Let me get to them. I'll show you what I'm talking about.
I guess, is it the line for the conservation easement? Does it include the encroachments?
They have not came up with a full bearings and distances for the conservation. There's that one graphic that shows a large, what they say, go back to my original notes. I want to say it was what, 50 acres or something like that. They said that, where they said that they wanted to put that in conservation easement. So they just showed everything from the development line, more or less, over. There's no actual detailed line where that is. We haven't seen a plan, but it does encompass, when you go back to the presentation here. So
How about,
Okay,
this
so it
line
is,
is
it is a
roughly-
straight line.
yeah,
So
this
it does-
line is roughly let's say it's arbitrary because I don't have a survey map showing bearings and distance, right? But all of this, they're showing it hugging the property line or up to the property line this whole way.
Yeah.
So when you get down into here, you'll see there's a large amount of encroachments into those areas.
Right.
Okay. So how do we want to deal with those encroachments? You know what I mean? As the Conservation Commission, one of them could be, hey, they must deal with these encroachments. All right. They have to get these encroachments off the property or modify the conservation easement as such, So that's one of my suggestions, because if they can't negotiate these or whatever, and they need to put the conservation easement around these properties, then that's what they need to do, and they can coordinate that with staff,
Okay.
Because we don't want these areas under our conservation easement,
Right.
because it's a violation from day one that I have to deal with.
Yeah.
So,
And they're also within the envelope for the vernal pool.
exactly.
So I would think that
Mhm.
the option to deal with them
Yeah.
should go forward.
So, and again, that's something the Conservation Commission does. I mean, that's under their purview, all of these conservation easements.
okay, Mark? You have a feeling on the intervener petition?
I'm just trying to understand this. That dark line is the Farmington line?
It's the shared town line and the property line. It's both.
It's both.
Yeah.
So people have done things on the other side into farming property.
Yes.
And at this point, it's hard to see from the documentation, but pictures, but so they're within 150 feet of the vernal pools.
Yes, because if you come back to here,
So if they are within 150 feet of the vernal pools and they're in the town of Farmington, that property is, we have every right to regulate the activity in that area.
exactly.
If we're concerned about what this project will do, why shouldn't we not be concerned about what is obviously happening in that area too? So I have no problems approaching it that way. I mean, we have to look at the total picture, not just this 8, 9, acres that they're going to develop. It's a whole piece of property we have to look at. So I think I would approach it that way. I mean, if we were going to make a recommendation.
I don't know if I wanted to get that detailed on this. I'm thinking, what if the Conservation Commission refers the intervener petition to the inland wetlands and feels it provides merit worthy of consideration?
Okay, so you're saying that
That it's worth considering.
one of ours chiming in. I don't know if that was one of our commissioners chiming in. Sorry. So you want to refer it to the inland wetlands, saying that it has merit. Is that
Merit
what you're
worthy
saying?
of consideration.
For what?
That it has merit worthy of consideration.
That's not. All you're doing is you're kicking the can over to them.
Yeah.
You need to make a decision on your side as the Conservation Commission of how you feel this application. This is closed. Yeah, this is closed hearing at this point, unfortunately. Thank you. So,
I'm sorry, yeah, it is closed. It's not a public hearing anymore.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I could refine my thought.
Absolutely.
I would move that the Conservation Commission finds the intervention petition is valid. And we support the approximate 75 acres to be designated for conservation easement and shall be refined to address encroachments of concern, that we recommend the use of best management practices with any project approval before the Inland Wetland Commission, and that we recommend the increased vernal pool protection to the extent possible and feasible.
That sounds okay. I don't know.
So you're giving them a positive referral with these conditions added to it. I know, that's what I'm trying to, everyone's interrupting. I'm trying to run this, all right? What I'm saying is that you're not voting on the application, but you're making a referral to the Inland Wetlands Commission, whether it's positive or not. That's how we've always done it in the past. It's
No, we've
always
never
been,
done it.
huh? Yes, we have. Yes, we have. We have done those. You guys just, it's just,
The bylaws have been overdue for.
it's not a bylaw.
repair,
It's not a bylaws.
Whatever. it
Commission.
is.
We've done these. It's done it a handful of times throughout the past few years.
All right, whatever.
So when it becomes a significant activity,
Bruce, I think at the risk of taking a procedural misstep,
Mhm.
it probably would behoove this commission to not act tonight.
Okay.
Because if we take a misstep,
Mhm.
then that opens the ground for any party to
Mhm.
to appeal. I know it's going to push it out another 2 weeks, but I think we probably need clarification. Conservation Commission needs clarification on how to manage and act on the intervention petition.
Can we set aside like a special meeting that's not like a regularly scheduled meeting for us to get on like the same page about this particular?
I don't know. I'll check. You're right. You're getting out of my league now at this point. I mean, we can do special meetings, but do we want to go that route? It's- no.
I mean, it still has to be a public meeting.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, no, it still has to be a public meeting. It just has to, it's a special
And
meeting.
you have to do notification and all that stuff.
But maybe not
is
at
there-
10 o'clock at night.
Is there anything that Robert said that is there something about it that how we're doing it, maybe something should be removed? So it's a valid, valid referral? Are we doing something that we should have removed? Is there something here that's wrong that we should?
In
put
what? In his motion?
Yeah.
No, I mean, like I said, you're making a referral to the Inland Wetlands Commission, all right? And you're including these conditions.
Right.
Okay.
My thought process was that our first finding is the Conservation Commission is that the intervention petition was valid and had merit. If we didn't make that finding, then we wouldn't be acting on it. From there are some recommendations from the Conservation Commission to the Inland Wetlands Commission. That was my thought process. If that's incorrect, then I think we would need further guidance from town staff or town council, the town council on how to act on the petition before the Conservation Commission.
Okay.
So it's not enough just to say that the intervener petition has merit and is referred and has merit and as such it's referred to the Inland Wetlands Commission.
I have a feeling we're not making any recommendations, so.
No, you're making a recommendation.
Robert had some good recommendations.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, you're making the recommendation on the Conservation Commission to the Conservation Commission on what you would want to be included in the any kind of approval that they make. You want it, these things should be made a condition of approval.
Can we do this tonight? I think we're kicking the can down, down the.
But if we don't do it tonight, then we can't have the final meeting until June 3rd, right?
No. It just seems to be this is something could be handled
20th
now.
and
or if we hold the Conservation Commission meeting before the Inland Wetland Commission meeting on the 20th.
Talked about that last week. I don't know.
I never heard an answer. Could you do that? Well, we talked about closing one and opening the other and then closing it again. That you can't.
I don't know. I'd be all right with that language.
You stated.
Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to make that motion.
Second.
Hold on, he's giving the motion.
I move that the Conservation Commission finds the intervention petition is valid and with merit, and the Conservation Commission supports the approximate 75-acre area to be designated for conservation easement, and that area shall be refined for reconciliation of encroachments. The Conservation Commission recommends the use of best management practices with any project approval by the Inland Wetland Commission. The Conservation Commission recommends increasing the vernal pool protection to the extent possible and feasible.
Beautiful.
I'll second that.
Okay. Chair, motion's been made and seconded to refer the intervener's report as stated from the Conservation Commission to the Inland Wetlands Commission. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you. Planners report. Green Efforts Committee Recycling Workshop, May 20th. What's up with that, Bruce?
Nope, that's just a workshop if anybody wants to attend. That's all they're putting it in. They're putting it's a public meeting. It's a public workshop given by I forgot who it was by, but they have someone coming in to give them a what you call it, a presentation. So if anyone's interested, they could just show up.
And the chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of April 15th.
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second.
All right, all those motions made and seconded to approve the minutes of April 15th. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
I will abstain.
Motion passes.
Oh,
we have one abstain.
What's that? Oh,
Okay.
Robert, sorry, I couldn't hear it.
Technically, Robert, I don't think you have to abstain as long as did you watch that part of the meeting?
You didn't watch it all.
You didn't get to watch any of it? Oh, okay.
So
He's going to.
yeah. Oh, that's where you came from.
Did you make a motion to adjourn? Did I
Chair
miss
make
that?
a motion to adjourn.
I was in the foreign country too.
So moved.
Second.
Favor aye.
Aye.
Opposed?